All right. Good evening, YouTube. After a short technical difficulties, I think we're going. We got audio. Oh, all right. Welcome, folks. Got some people in the side chat already. Excellent. Oh, it's a motley looking crew too. We got Jay Watterson. What's up? I haven't seen you in a chat in quite a well. I think you a couple weeks back you were in one, but you've been few and far between, it seems. 01 Karama's with us. Jay Sparks. Troll Lives Matter. Yeah, troll away 01 Crom. I liked your chat yesterday when you were in Kevin's chat yesterday. That was good. Walker Outdoors is with us. How you doing? And Walter Davis. Walter, do you ever sleep? I know you work like in between these chats, but it's like I don't know. Anyway, welcome. All right, folks. So subject of the night, and well, don't let me be so rude. Before we get started, let me introduce my partner in crime that's joined us in the chat room so far. We've put out some invites to the usual suspects. But we have Angel R in here with us.
Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing?
For basically right in Parkland, Florida, essentially. I mean, right near Broward County. So he's in depth in the middle of the soup right now. And has been for a few years, I guess you'd say. All your life, right?
Yeah, pretty much. When I moved up from Puerto Rico, we came to Broward County and been here ever since. So over 30 years in Broward.
Yeah. So the title of the chat, are the stars aligning? Well, what I'm trying to mean, all these events are starting to line up, or are they? I mean, my perspective, I guess we got a lot of opinion, subjectivity, but we've always talked, I know with Mule a lot, about how events are speeding up and they always hit back to back to back and you can't keep up with what's going on. And now we seem to have a series of events that are lining up to lead further down the rabbit hole of what we always suspected. But I want to start off with this article that I just got shared in the G Plus right before the chat started. And it seems apropos when you talk about what comes next and where we're going. So this article is out of, and it's from today. It's from reason.com. So it's a open source, anybody can pretty much post. As it says, mostly law professors blogging on whatever we please since 2002. So it says it's hosted by the Washington Post. I don't know if that's a good thing. But the title is The History of the Assault Weapon Hoax, Part 1, The Crime That Started It All. A 1989 shooting at a Cal schoolyard began the assault weapon issue. And that's what led us to some of the issues we have today with even the term assault weapons banned in 1990, I think shortly after this, which was led by yours truly, Mr. Joe Get a Shotgun Biden. So I will put this link out in the chat for starters, and give you guys a chance to pull it up as well. So, because you probably can't see my screen as well as you can see your own, and you can follow along as we kind of get through it. Let me get this over there. Amazing. Full link. So check that out if you want to pull it up while we're going through it right here. I'll still share, but it's easier for you guys that can pull it up. So starting with a school shooting of 5 children on a playground in Stockton, California, there were multiple failures of law enforcement before and during the crime. And they're similar to the related events in Parkland, Florida. So that's what he leads off with in this first paragraph. And I think we could all agree with that there were multiple failures on the part of law enforcement, local and federal. And this last statement here, these failures are part of the reason why school shootings and other mass attacks persist in the U.S. today. And it says this article is the first, so there'll probably be a series of other articles after this, but this is the first this evening. It talks about the history of the shooter, kind of a rough character, had a rough life, parents separated, etc., etc. Like the majority of mass shooters, he has had these issues. Mother threw him out of the house at 13, etc. Had all these issues before he turned 18, been arrested 10 times. He had a mental health evaluation at 14. So this is all talking about the 1989 shooter still. As an adult, he continued to accumulate multiple arrests, never more in prison more than a few weeks. Among his prior crimes was an armed robbery, a receipt of stolen property, possession of illegal weapons, vandalized his mom's car, on and on and on. On drugs, etc. Let's move it on down here. Because I haven't read this yet. I just literally just saw it before we went live. So I'm trying to digest this and put it in comparison to what our issue is today. When he was 20, doctors deemed he was mildly retarded and had a personality disorder caused by his longstanding alcohol and drug abuse, and he entitled to Social Security benefits. He bought several handguns over the years, all on California's 15-day waiting period. California has a 15-day waiting period, and that was in the 80s. 87, he was arrested while drunk up near Lake Tahoe, interestingly enough. He assaulted a law enforcement officer, kicked out the back window of the cruiser. He had all kinds of good stuff going on. So he had been multiple contacts. Then on January 17th, 89, he attacked the playground at Cleveland Elementary School in Stockton, California. Apparently, he had a hate for Asians. The school was predominantly Asian. On his rifle and jacket, he had written Hezbollah, PLO, Libya, and death to the great Satan. Interesting. He had bought 2 guns as a criminal. He's already a felon. One was a pistol, 9mm, and he used an AKM 56S in the shooting. So this is very detailed about what went down. 105 shots, 37 people were hit, 5 were killed, were children. He killed himself when police arrived, or as they arrived. So the hypothesis of the writer here is that he could have been stopped if the government had enforced existing criminal law or had used existing laws to commit and provide mental health treatment of the plainly disturbed and imminently dangerous individual. So, and this goes to what's going on now. We have had these rules of mental health evaluations and being able to rescind somebody's rights based upon their mental health for 40 plus years. Now, there is subjectivity to that. So I'm not saying that's necessarily right, but there's a lot of rules that have been in place that were never used properly. But every time these things happen, they keep saying we need to get to the mental health problem, but they never use the laws that are wrapped around them to do any treatment or anything, to help prevent this type of stuff, among other things. And then he talks about a decade after that was Columbine High School, and goes into the history of those two. Well, that's pretty short. People are pretty familiar with that.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I'm surprised he started it with that incident. What was it, 89? I think it was. Yeah. Because what about the 1984 California shooting in McDonald's? I mean, I knew that was before that. I had to actually look up the year.
Talking about the one with Hupp, the one she speaks to? Wasn't that Texas? Wait, are you talking California or Texas?
No, I'm talking about California, 1984. There was a McDonald's shooting where the guy had actually reached out to several times. He tried looking for help, and I think the day prior, he actually ended up calling a mental hospital or some shit. They wrote his information down, didn't prioritize it, so they never got back to him. And he went to McDonald's, middle of the day, I think it was, afternoon, with a Browning high power 12 gauge and a 9mm Uzi carbine. And he ended up killing, I think it was like 20 something people
Do you
and
have a link for
injuring
that?
over a dozen.
Can you get a link in the
No,
side chat, maybe?
not on the phone. I can't, but I could.
Oh, right.
Let me see.
No, I'm not
Hold
familiar
on,
with
I'll
that
tell you
story
right
at all.
now.
Well, he was
Oh,
initially
dude, I
bringing this.
remember that happened. That happened shortly after we moved to the States. So for some reason, that like literally has been ingrained in my brain. I mean, like I remember that like yesterday. Let me see. I
Yeah.
can tell you right now.
Yeah, obviously he's tying in this article the issues of mental health failures, the failures of current law, and people
Yeah, and
pushing
this
more
was a
law.
perfect example of it. Actually, they call it the San. Let's see if I can pronounce it. San Isidro, Ysidro.
Yeah, San
San
Ysidro.
Isidro,
Yeah.
yeah, McDonald's massacre. So
Okay, I'll
yeah,
look
that
that up real
was
quick.
80, yeah, July 18th, 1984 by James Huberty. Killed 21 people,
Yeah, I
injured
got it. Okay.
19. Yeah, I would think he would have started with that one because that right there is another poster child for the mental fuck ups in this country as far as the system.
Yeah, and I think this 89 one directly tied to the assault weapons ban just follows shortly thereafter.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna use the history link. 21 people shot to death at McDonald's.
Yep. Yeah, I would link it if I could, but I can't on the phone.
So this article we just got is linking together the pattern set by Stockton and repeated in Florida. These two criminals openly identified themselves as incipient mass murderers, basically saying they identified themselves to authorities beforehand. The Stockton criminals' various felonies at least had led to arrest and misdemeanor convictions, but Parkland criminals' open and shut felonies, such as explicit violent threats against the school, never resulted in arrest. So even more so failures on the part of the system, I guess you'd say. Um, Part of the and this is one thing that's come out in the last couple of days. Part of the problem was apparently the Broward sheriff and the school administration were diligently implementing the Obama administration demand to shut down the school to prison pipeline by not arresting students. And people have heard a lot about that this week. There was some policy trying to reduce this arrest of people who were criminals, not just like when we were kids. Nobody went to jail essentially. Kids are doing crazy stuff in schools, it seems, nowadays. So the writer here says the criminal should have been put in a pipeline from school to prison. Instead, the Broward sheriff and the school ended up running a school to graveyard pipeline. So he's very upfront what his feelings are on this. At Stockton, police did not confront the active shooter because they were still in transit to the scene. So he's drawing similarities, but also stark differences in the way these were handled because Broward County stood outside and waited till the shooting was over. So in the next article in the series, we'll examine the rifle the Stockton criminal used and the misinformation that was spread about it, which probably much of that was probably military-style assault automatic weapon was probably what the propaganda was out of that, I'll bet. And we'll examine more of the past and present media inaccuracy about so-called assault weapons. It's much of the same stuff we hear now, ghost guns. How many different inaccurate terms can you hear a day about these firearms, right? Our firearms, the ones we have that haven't harmed anybody. So this is going to be a good series of articles. Potentially might be a good something to follow. I did put the link out in the side chat if you need it. I'll put it in the description box at the end of the chat for those watching afterwards. And of course, the 1989 and 2018 stories of presidents who imagined that they could find political advantage by breaking their campaign promises and betraying the people who elected them. Very significant there because we see that happening now. The great Trump is seemingly backing away from all the things his people that voted for him expected. Would you not agree there, Angel? If you're still with us.
Yes, I just remember I gotta bounce back to the hangouts and hit the unmute and all that. But no, I agree. I agree.
Hey, who's in here with us? Is that the man, the general, the same sergeant major?
No, it ain't the sergeant major. I have to work for a living. I don't ride around. What's up, guys?
Hey, Saints.
You the sergeant major. Now I'm talking about sergeant. You got rank in here.
No way. I work for a living too. I kept my MOS.
I hear you. Yeah, me too.
Anyway, so yeah, Saints, you up to speed on what we're kind of talking about here?
I am. I had to do 2 or 3 little odds and ends, but I was listening here. Yeah, it's in decline bad. It's really in decline.
Yeah, and this article compares what Trump is doing or talking about and what Bush did, essentially backing away from earlier campaign promises like no new taxes, but also nothing on gun control. But Trump has been even more bold in his statements of what he said yesterday. And no matter how you take the context, people have been trying to defend the context of those statements. You never say, we'll take the guns and then examine judiciously. You just don't say that if you have any principles. And I mean, that's something like a 12-year-old would say, not thinking. But somebody that has principles and knows what they stand for would not say that in that order.
I have to agree. He stepped in it, got it on both brand new shoes.
Unless that's really what he believes in, and he's just showing his true colors.
Right. I mean, is there any way other to describe it? That's not the true colors?
Well, some people are defending him, saying that it was a mistake, or that he's just playing the game, and it's bullshit. We're seeing what really is going on now.
Yeah. Well, so you. I mean,
I'm sorry, actually. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
A lot of people are using this as what I refer to as an ambush of opportunity, and they're really looking for it because every time something happens, dude, their packs are loaded and the cameras are ready and the film's ready to roll, and they use it as an ambush of opportunity to go after whatever agenda they're trying to go after every single time.
Right. Welcome, Mule. You got an intro statement to this? Are you up to speed?
What's up, Mule?
He's got nothing.
I know Tack Daddy, I think he's a little bit too. He probably needs to step back a little bit because he's getting a little too, which I mean, I like Tack, but he's getting a little emotionally involved, which he would because he's seeing it right face to face, right in his face. But still,
Yeah, I was in his chat last night, and I felt he was a little bit too emotionally connected, but
absolutely.
So how you been doing, Mule?
Staying off the net, trying to ignore the news as much as possible, because it's all the same old bullshit. Bought a new gun though. Had to get something that shoots 5.56, being everybody's bitching about ARs, So I had to go out and get me an AK that shoots 5.56 and takes AR mags.
I saw that. Looked like a pretty nice system.
It is a sweet little gun. I got to get out and shoot it though, but I haven't done that yet. But soon, it's not gonna. It's more going to be a Safe Queen. I never owned one of those before, but that's the plan for it. But, look, we've been through these fights before. We know what we have to do. And Trump's doing what I was afraid of, right? Trump wants to be a populist. He wants fucking everybody to like him in some ways, So how can he get the Dems on his side? Well, he goes for guns, and makes stupid-ass statements like he's been. So, look, I seen it with Reagan. I seen it with Bush 1. I seen it with Bush 2. Every fucking Republican who stands on the NRA and tells gun owners to vote for him, well, they end up fucking us in the end. More so than most Democrats who are doing it straight up.
Right? They use a little lube.
Well, you at least know where Democrats stand, right? Did anybody expect fucking some of the shit that came out of Trump's mouth this week to come out of his mouth?
Yes, I did, and I've been saying it, and I've been calling it, but that's just me.
Okay, Angel. So some did, and you know what? There have been a lot of people who have, right? But then there's others who haven't. I've been on playing on the wait and see with the gun shit because I know who he is. I know where he's from. You know, and I've been waiting for any Republican, because they all fucking do it, to turn on us. Right? They all fucking do it. And the NRA does too, right? So everybody's telling me to join the NRA now, and I'm like, fuck you. We wouldn't have half these fucking laws if it wasn't for the NRA. The NRA back to 1968, right? Every law that's been put on play and that's passed, the NRA backed. And most of the gun shit that we're dealing with this month, except for the, school shooting part, all came from the fucking NRA opening their fucking mouths. So did I expect these people to stab us in the back? Yes, not so soon, but I figured they would have at least waited until after the fucking 20 elections, Well,
I know Diane Frankenstein. She sure was. She looks like she was so happy she dropped a nugget in her Depends.
Yeah.
That was downright scary, was it not?
I'm telling you, it looked like an old person at the old folk home that got to open a birthday gift that they've been wanting. Oh, a new pack of Dentchy Grip. Oh, I'm so tickled. Oh, my God, dude. Almost lost it.
And what's funny, HD, is we've been through this a couple of times now, and we ranted and raved how many times over the same kind of shit. And the funny thing is, everybody would be up in arms calling their fucking congressman if Obama had said any of the kind of shit that Trump said this week.
Oh, without a doubt. And people have been trying to, I guess I think the group of Republicans, conservatives for lack of better terms, people that voted for him, there's not as many people giving him a pass as people I think are blowing it out of proportion, but there's not enough people speaking out against it is the issue I have. There's not enough saying no. Look,
I've already wrote the fuck stick a couple of times. I don't think he listens to me, but, I fucking give him my opinion. I actually know he doesn't listen to me. Don't let me fucking try and blow anybody up. But, yeah, man. And me, I was a hardcore supporter of Trump. I was fully on the guy's side, until he opened his fucking mouth about shit like this. But this is the kind of thing that I was waiting for. I was surprised he didn't open his mouth more on the Vegas shooting. But you notice how Vegas and the shooting in Texas, none of that shit matters now that some fucking, that it happened in a school again. A gun-free zone again.
Yeah. And you bring up dang it, you sidetracked with that last comment.
Sorry.
I'm trying to read the side chat and listen and think at the same time. My bad.
That's why I'm glad I'm not the boss anymore.
I'm not bashing on anybody that's successful, but they were talking about the Chicago schools versus the school that happened in. Obviously, the school that happened in is a model school where everybody drives nice cars, and the majority of the neighborhoods around there are all high-end, high on the food chain. And they were talking about Chicago schools. If it had happened in Chicago school, you probably wouldn't have heard a whole lot about it because they're a dump anyway.
No, well, let me clue you into something here, buddy. It wouldn't happen in a Chicago school. You've never seen any of these. When they talk about school shootings in inner cities and, places like Chicago, Detroit, places like that, it's all gang related, right? 100%. It's some dude disrespected some dude. They're going after him personal. They're not shooting everybody up, right? They'll kill the one person, maybe the dude behind them by accident, but they ain't shooting at the whole fucking classroom, right? This shit only happens in suburban fucking white bread schools where it's all touchy-feely and all that shit.
Everybody drives a $50,000 car. Everybody's got the latest cell phone.
Right. That's where these things fucking happen. Look at it. Columbine. Go down the list of fucking schools that this shit happened in, and you'll find every single one of them suburban white bread with parents who don't pay attention to their fucking kids, and all they do is throw money at them. And some kid gets disenfranchised, and then everybody starts picking on them. right? Fucks with them all during school because he's the weird kid. And then he comes out and does some fucked up shit like this, right? But it doesn't happen in poor inner city schools.
Well, aren't those schools essentially prisons already? That's probably part of the reason.
Bullshit. Drugs get in there, guns get in there, people fuck in the goddamn bathrooms. It ain't a goddamn prison, right? The reason why it doesn't happen is because those people have a struggle through life. They ain't got time to be fucking wallowing in their misery to go shoot up a school. They got time to wallow in their misery and go shoot up a liquor store, right? Because the liquor store got fucking money, right? They ain't got time when their belly's hungry to worry about what some fucking kid said about them. And if they do, they'll just go pop that kid. They're not going to pop the class.
Not only that, but you know what? Neil has a point, but I'd also like to add that if you go and do that in some of these inner city schools, they do have to worry about getting shot back, and it's not going to be by the police. And I can guarantee you that, because even when I was going to high schools, people were packing. Okay.
Me too.
And yeah, I mean, so without incriminating, I'm just going to say, and that was back then. And you know,
I'll say it straight up. In New York City, I carried a gun in high school, right? Every goddamn. And if somebody fucking either tried to rob me in the fucking bathroom or something, they got to usually just see it. Never had to pull the fucking thing in school, right?
That's right. People will get dealt with. And they did that shit in an inner city school, they will get dealt with, which again can also lead more into the whole gun-free zones being the unsafest zones to be in to begin with.
Yeah. And the people think inner city teachers aren't fucking armed. I just gotta laugh, you know, because look, the only thing, law abiding means that you listen to what the law says. So law abiding tells me I have to go buy a FOID card. I have to go get a FOID card. I have to jump through hoops in my state to be able to recognize by my state that I own guns and I buy them legally, right? All that shit took months. Big old pain in the fucking ass, right? My whole goddamn life, I've been able to go down to the street corner and buy a fucking gun, put it in my pocket and walk away. The only reason why I'm legal is because I'm a father, I'm a citizen, I'm trying to be a responsible member of society. That's why any new gun shit they put down, what do you think I'm going to do? Hand it over when somebody knocks at my door? They're ridiculous. I lived life long before I became a legal person after I started having kids and became a human. I did all the same shit that, you know, I'm going to do if I have to when they start trying to take them. Which is still walk around with my gun, right? Still keep all the guns I have. But from now on, instead of, you know, well, you know what? I generally put a gun on anybody who knocks on my door and I don't know they're coming anyway. So
right.
It won't be a surprise if some cop comes banging on my door. There's been many cops knocked on my door, did not know they had a gun pointed at them on the other side.
So real quick, getting back to the subject of the meeting yesterday with the Roundtable and Trump, the key thing there too was he shut Pence down to go out of his way to mention we're going to take the guns first and then we're going to look at the due process. He kind of pushed Pence to the side because Pence was trying to interject, and he's like, I'm not going to have any of that. If you watch that in context.
Well, I know for me, I haven't watched any of it, so I can't give really an opinion on that. But I know, look, Trump is a loose fucking cannon. He's still doing exactly what I wanted him to do, even though it's hurting me at the moment. Right? He's the fucking Joker. He says shit that shocks everybody. Right? So, you know, if you're going to send the Joker to Washington, you got to expect some of the shit he does is not going to be, you know, good for you. Right? And this may be one of them. But I think in at least the NRA version of it, they're going to get him backing down a little bit. But how much, I don't know. You know, I mean, look, fucking Reagan passed shit. Bush 1 passed shit. Bush 2 passed shit. Right? Nobody thinks about, everybody I've heard talk about how Bush 2, blah, blah, blah. They didn't do anything against the Second Amendment. Bullshit. Right. They did plenty against the Second Amendment. They did ammo fucking bans. They did goddamn part bans, right? We can't get fucking real barrels from guns in here anymore. We have to have them made here in the United States because, you know, again, a Bush gun ban, right? That nobody fucking talks about. You know, that 7 and 6 ban. They tried to ban 855. Who's, you know, bans are never going to stop. We have to fight it tooth and nail. but we're really never going to win. Eventually, they are going to win.
Well, that's the key problem, right there. What is losing? I guess incrementalism. When is the ultimate? When have you already lost? Like, it's not when you're at 0. Is it when you're at 49%? You know, because when it's all gone doesn't mean we've lost. When you're intermediate in there somewhere, when there's no recovery, no going back, that's when you've lost. Ultimately,
I don't think we're quite where there's no recovery yet, but we're fucking right on that edge.
In 10 years, they won't be any recovery. If there's nothing done, they'll be gone.
Well, let's put it this way. Say they get an assault weapons ban in, right? There's no fucking sunset going on this one. They played that game once. They ain't letting that shit happen again. They don't give a shit which way the pendulum swings. Right? So we have to nip this shit. We have to nip this shit in the bud now. They're not going to be able to tell us that, oh, wait until fucking 2028, you might get your guns back.
One more generation of programming the youth, and it'll be too late.
I don't think they're going to get that, though. I don't think they're going to get a whole generation. I think our country might break up before the end of this one, right? Before this one starts shifting into the next.
That's ultimately a good solution, in my opinion.
It's not a bad one of mine at this point. 5 years ago, I would have had a different one. But in the past 5 years, in the past 5 years, my attitude's changed. In the past 3 years, my attitude's changed. I don't see us coming back as a whole nation again the way we were at one time. Not with the inroads that these fucking commie cocksuckers have made since the 60s, right? You got to give them credit. They did it smart. They started out, they went into the education system. They said, fuck all the rest. We got a long-term plan. We'll start with teachers' unions, and we'll start with educating the youngest minds, and we'll drill this shit in over a generation or two, right, on the shit we want. And now they have it. All these participation trophies, all this not allowing some kid to point, their finger and make it look like a gun, or play cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers, and all that identity politics bullshit. That was all part of their fucking plan, because they knew they could never destroy America from the outside. The only way you're going to be able to destroy America is from the inside. And the only way to do that is to divide and conquer it. And the way to do that, identity politics. When we're Americans, there's no such thing as an identity other than an American. But when you're an American hyphen or a hyphen American, right, half the job's done. Divide and conquer. Turn one tribe into a million little tribes.
Yeah, and that looking back at, if they're looking at it long term with a plan like that, which the communist ideal, they definitely saw the fractures, an easy way to fracture the country, because they were able to fracture the Russians, and they had a lot fewer issues than what we have now, or even 40 years ago. And with that, so they probably didn't figure they could take it wholesale, which is what everybody in America's got their head wrapped around. All 50 states, all for one, one for all. And it's not gonna go like that, even if it does devolve in any method, because even the Russians or the Chinese, they don't want the whole thing. Part of it's just to get us out of the picture so they can take things near them and keep the resources near them and keep us from muscling them around in their area of operation.
Well, that's actually most of it, isn't it? I mean, when you really think about it, HD, we're the biggest cat around that's got the biggest mouth, and we shoot it off all the time. We like to stick our fucking nose in everywhere. They talk about the Russians meddling in our election. Name an election we haven't fucking meddled in since the end of World War II. So, they just want us off the board. Right?
I think we've probably installed more dictators than they've meddled in elections.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. But they want us off the board for exactly the reasons why you say. The fucking Putin wants the Soviet Union back, right? He wants them all back. Everybody. Warsaw Pact, everybody. You name it. Poland, fucking the Slovakias, you name it. They want it back, right? And China, well, China's got its own ideas, right? They might not actually want all those countries, but they want them kind of under a Warsaw type of pact, bamboo curtain type of thing anyway. Right? They want them all bowed down to Beijing. That's why they're building a fucking island in the middle of the goddamn South Chinese Sea so they can claim it as national land, and then they control the whole fucking South Chinese Sea.
I think the Chinese have about a dozen islands they've built in the last 10 years. It's not just one.
You know what I'm saying? They just want us out, because with us out of the fucking picture, then the world's their oyster. You know, what is Europe going to do at this point? Nothing. Fucking Britain is goddamn half Pakistani, right? The fucking mayor of London's Pakistani, and now he wants to fucking succeed from goddamn England.
I wonder how the bank feels about that. Bank of London's probably not going to let that happen.
Yeah, well, look, no, but what they will do is capitulate to the fucking Russians and tell them, yeah, you do whatever the fuck you want, as long as our top 1% still makes their money, they still get their drinks, their caviar, their fucking whatever the hell they want. Everybody else can go fuck.
They all get to go live in Buckingham Palace in exile.
Whatever they can do, right? They don't give it. Look, the oligarchs are not threatened by the fucking Russians or the Chinese. They work with them. They're fine with them. They all speak the same fucking greedy, corrupt language.
Yeah, at a certain level, it doesn't affect them. That's one of the finer points of when people. Trump's not losing anything in a lot of these issues. He's not going to lose out, business-wise or otherwise. So it's really about his ego and aggrandizement more than it is. He's not losing on either side of the deals, probably. Has he ever lost in a deal?
It's more theater for us, right? It's more theater to keep us fucking like the bullshit with the guns. You can't tell me this isn't the giant distraction to get everybody off mark on whatever really matters.
Oh, it's a distraction.
Well, which part of it? Is it really a distraction? The law side? Is the government going to enact laws? Is that a distraction?
Well, here's the deal. You know, any fucking decent lawyer would tell you the government has more than enough laws to have taken care of this down the line.
But they also selectively pick. I mean, we know how intense the FBI's went after certain cowboys in the West. But
yeah. And yet they won't go after this guy who's, you know, basically calling them up and telling them, help me. Just like Angel was saying. That dude in 84, he called up and begged for help and nobody fucking did it. This kid in this fucking school shooting over by Tac Daddy, right? In the school that his kids go to school in, right? This fucking kid asked for help, begged for help for years from these fucking people. And nobody gave a shit.
Yeah. And it was a good, where did I see it? I can't take credit for this, but it was, I think it may have been Ross in the chat last night, in Kevin's chat, and he pointed out, we are revamping the whole establishment of our Constitution and our society off of statistical anomalies. These are statistical anomalies in our society, and we're just revamping everything for this. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind that to do that.
Perfect logic behind it if you understand what the goals are, right?
But not in a reality. And when you talk about the way, like you said, there are laws in place, there are systems in place. They failed at this point. Obviously, that can be fixed. Or have more proactive leadership and management, maybe, instead of a lousy sheriff. No offense, Angel.
Are you gonna vote for somebody who says we already have the laws in place, we just need to make sure that they get implemented? Or are you gonna vote, or will most of America vote for somebody who says we need a new law? We need to ban semi-auto. We need to ban full semi-auto rifles, right?
That's been our problem for over 150 years. People voting for somebody that'll do something instead of doing the right thing, which is usually nothing.
Neither has the goofy gender battle been at it for 150 years either. Dude, this thing since this new wave of idiocracy's kicked in, you don't even have to go to the circus, dude. The world's a freak show. You used to go to the circus and see the tattooed man that had tattoos all over him, and the bearded lady, and the man that had horns, and the guy that had fangs, and you don't even have to go there anymore. Just go downtown.
Yeah, maybe downtown where you live. I don't know, Saints. I wouldn't say every downtown is like that, but
no, they're not, and it's not like that here. But then again, if somebody went into school here, they'd be shot walking in the front door because probably 60% of the teachers in there are armed.
Yeah, it's like an inner city school, right? You go to rural, let's say Louisiana, Arkansas, fucking Mississippi, you know, half teachers are armed. You go to inner city Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, half teachers are fucking armed, right? But it's Parkland, Florida, where they're not, right? And it's Parkland, Florida, where the government who's there to protect you isn't going to protect you, right?
And you see,
Those,
that's a great point that Mule just brought up, which I think a lot of people don't realize. We keep hearing all this talk over and over again about more laws, more rules. We need security guards, more police in the school,
More
and
surveillance.
we have plenty of laws. We got plenty of police and law enforcement in this country. You still have crime going on. You still have this shit going on, and people just they keep sticking their finger in the socket no matter how many times they get shocked. They just don't freaking get it, right? More laws, more cops, more guards, more security isn't going to do shit. There's always going to be evil people out there, all right? And people need to start being accountable for their own safety and taking care of themselves. That's the way it's been since the beginning of time. Okay, and stop relying on someone else to keep them safe. It's not going to happen. It's not.
Dude, that's exactly right. This false sense of security that we will take care of you. You don't have to do this. We'll bodyguard you. We'll this, that, and the other. When something happens, people give up everything, just like the Boston bombing. Everybody's immune. Nothing's ever going to happen here till it happens, and then everybody throws their hands up. Yeah, you can come in my house. Look through my house. Make sure there's nobody in here. Blah blah blah. They just, man, I don't know. It's a beta society now.
And I'll tell you another thing. I watched today on recommendation. I watched that chat from at least most of it from Tag Daddy last night. And you know what? I understand what he's going through. His daughters go to that school. I'm 20 minutes from that school. I have two girls in the public system, school system. Okay. Uh, if that would have happened to me, if that would have been in their school, you know, yeah, it's traumatizing. It's horrible. Hell, even without having anybody going there, it's traumatizing. It's horrible. Like I said, like I tell people, it's not my backyard. It's my front yard, right? It's in my county. It's 20 minutes away. I'm familiar with the area, and it's horrible. But you know what? I'm not going to sit there. And again, we all have a right to our own opinions and to think how we want. And that's the great thing about, being a human. But I disagree with people that are out there saying, well, because, this affects me personally, I can tell you that we need to do something about it. We need to find a medium ground between the opposition and what we can do to figure things out and make things work. Well, I'm sorry. When it comes to a natural born right, there is no compromise. There is no giving. There is no meeting in the middle. Okay. If anything, if that happened in my girls' school, right, and I had a legal or an obligation to be there for them, hell, I'm 10 minutes away. If somehow I would have heard about that when it started happening, or I had just dropped them off when that started happening, you know what? I would have been running through those doors. There would have been no officer that would have been able to stop me unless they shot me dead. Okay, because they're my daughters. They're my responsibilities, not the state's, not the county, not the city, mine. And that's what a lot of people are forgetting. And immediately out of fear, out of emotion, whatever, well, we need to compromise. And again, people who are supposed to be, supporters, they claim to be supporters of the Second Amendment in the Constitution, to hear and listen to somebody, regardless of the situation, say, but we have to compromise. We have to find a middle ground. And you know what? You don't understand the difference between a right and a privilege. And no, you do not support the Constitution 100%. No, you don't. You don't understand it. And if you do, then you don't endorse it 100%. Plain and simple.
I didn't get a chance. Like I said, I didn't listen to Tax thing last night either, so I don't know what all was said. But I got to back up Angel on this 100%. I don't care if it was one of my kids that were dead. It's a horrible fucking thing to say, but the natural rights of the American people are not judged on the death of any particular body. We've fought wars over shit like this, and it looks like we're going to fight another one. And the thing that I'm sad about, but, one way happy because I think we'll win, is all these fucksticks who want to be disarmed can stay disarmed. And all these people that are willing to compromise, look, that's like saying I don't, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can compromise anything for principles that you believe to be true. I'm not that person who can compromise principles. I don't have very many, so I'm not
going
to.
Part of the problem you talk about the education generational thing. The current generations aren't taught principles unless you learn it at home. The school's not instilling any principles because they're not instilling any American principles at all.
I don't know who was talking for compromise last night, right? I don't. So I'm not going to accuse any person who's who did.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the school systems. You talk about principles. They're not learning principles in schools.
But the school's not responsible to teach the fucking principles. That's the biggest problem we have these days. We want the school to teach everything that the fucking family's supposed to. We want government to be daddy. We want fucking them to take care of us cradle to grave. None of this is the government's responsibility.
Right on, Mule. That's true.
When we went to school, though, it had to be when you too, Mule. We still got some principles at school. You respected older people.
Oh yeah,
there were principles that you learned at school that you applied later.
My son beat my ass, and then when I got home, my mom beat my ass, and then when my dad got home, he beat my ass. And if they were feeling lucky, my fucking neighbor would come over and kick my ass, all for the same shit.
But it was reinforced. The school was still a reinforcement, societal reinforcement.
Yes. Yes, and now it's part of the breakup.
Yeah,
and everything is built into our society now to tell everybody that, oh, you're this lovely family. But go look at any restaurant these days and watch a family sit down to fucking eat and see if they say 2 words to each other in a fucking restaurant or if they're all on their fucking phones. Societies to break. The best way they can control the individual is by making you an individual, right? And the easiest way to destroy our society is by taking everybody and making all these little tribes. So that way we fight against each other, the constant strife. There's no unity. There's no society anymore. It's the breakdown of society.
Yeah.
It's the breakdown of family. It's the breakdown of society. And it's just that fucking simple. And you see it. And that's why these things happen in these places where, like this kid, he was left alone most of the time. Obviously, mom may have been sick or had other issues. The kid had mental issues. It's not a money issue when he's got fucking he was waiting on an $800,000 inheritance. And 2 white bread neighbors are going to pick up you and your brother and say, you can live with us, right? Knowing you're both getting over, $800,000 a piece out of inheritance from your dead mom. So it's not a money fucking problem, right? It's an everything else problem.
They're not going to stop this, dude. It's just like in the freaking green zone over in the desert over there. They're searching every car that comes in and goes out, but yet they still have freaking bombs go off right downtown and everything. They're not going to stop it. There's no way they're going to stop it.
Let me tell you something, Saints. You want to know how guaranteed they're not going to stop it? Drugs are illegal in the United States. People go to prison for bringing drugs and selling drugs in the United States. In every prison in the United States, prison, mind you.
You go get drugs.
You can get drugs. Every jail, my local fucking jail, you can get drugs in the jail. So what laws stopping shit's going to work? Hey, that fucking school where the shooting was, big signs out front saying gun free zone.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to argue that a law is going to work. I don't think anybody's making that argument.
No.
But talking about reducing society there, Mule, you talk about the individual. Not only has it been broken down to the individual, but there's no respect for the individual. Not just society or tribalism. There's no respect for the individual in life either.
Only if you get your face on TV. Seriously. That's the only time there's respect for your particular life, or unless somebody whose face is already on TV saw your plight and felt moved by it enough to bring it to other people's attention. Right? So look, after the Vegas shooting, everybody was like, Vegas strong, Vegas strong, Vegas strong, right? But did they go talking to all the victims? No. Did they go fucking pushing victims to gather a rally to go to Washington, D.C.? No. They're doing it now because it's kids involved, just like they did it in, the last time when it was in Sandy Hook. They tried to do that shit. Why? Because there's kids involved.
Well, the Vegas thing, I'll go back to my original theory. The Vegas thing was a government op gone bad, and they're trying to cover that up as fast as they can. So they're not going to bring that to light. They're going to keep that buried, which they've done a fairly good job at doing.
Who's to say they didn't let this happen? I mean, when you look at all the fucking warning signs, all the red flags, all those things, that, especially in a place like Florida. Anybody remember the fucking Pulse shooting? All this shit should have been red flagged for months from this kid, right? And everything was ignored. I mean, the school policy is to not get people like this arrested. It doesn't. One school policy says if you see something, say something, and we're going to overreact on every single thing. And then here, this kid made, every kid in the school is like, yeah, that kid's going to be a school shooter. Oh, look, he posted he's going to be a professional school shooter. Yet nobody does fucking nothing.
Right.
So they wanted this to happen. People are going to tell me I'm fucking crazy. I'll break out my goddamn tinfoil hat. They didn't do this. This isn't a false flag, but this is something that they were hoping would happen.
Well, technically, I would say it's a false flag because the government either knew ahead of time or had something to do with it. And you know what? If you look at the FBI's histories with thwarting terrorism in this country, it turns out that in every case, what have they done? Well, they've had interactions and set up the patsy. So how convenient for them that they could be the ones to stop it. So as far as I'm concerned, did people die in this one? Yeah, people died in it. Was it real? Yeah, it was real. Did the regime have something to do with it? In my opinion, hell yeah, they did. Whether they let the guy go on, whether they encouraged the guy to do it, whatever. I mean, the same thing with the officers.
Even just doing nothing. If does the government have something to do with it? 100%. Why? Because they did nothing when they were warned.
Exactly. And I'm looking at, everything. For example, Sheriff Israel, right? I've been saying, I mean, that guy, he's a crook, right? He was a crook since he came up from, of all places, fucking New York, right? Anti-gun fucking liberal comes down here. The guy's got, record of being investigated, problems in Dade, but yet somehow he still got voted in. Second, he comes in, you have the false flag at the Fort Lauderdale airport. When shit started coming out on that, guess what? The media stopped covering it. Now you have this in his district, okay? You have one cop. It turns out it's 4 sheriff deputies that don't go in there. First the first guy was scared. What about the other 3? Oh, they were given a stand down order. Again, you think Israel didn't have something to do with this shit? Of course he did.
And I think to circle back around, when people bring up the gun control argument, assault weapons ban, whatever they want to call this mental health check, anything, all these law enforcement failed, government failed. Until you fix government, don't tell me about anything new laws. They're not. When the government can't enforce the ones we have, what good are new ones going to do? Just like you said, Mule, drugs, all this other things, which shouldn't be. I mean, in my own mind, they shouldn't be illegal anyway. A lot of these things are personal choices to a certain extent, but we can't enforce. How do we enforce murder? We punish people. That's what laws are for, is to punish, not restrict people's movement and actions unless they hurt somebody else. And we've gotten so far away from those principles that we expect the government to handhold us all through everything. And that's the argument we have to make to people to a large degree if they're borderline. Obviously, if you're talking to Tony's girlfriend, Silva, the fat pig that he loves so much down there, I never can remember her first name. You're not, whenever you're talking to somebody like that, you're not arguing with them. You're trying to convince the people to the side that are listening that you may sway with your argument. That's what to think about.
Well, I got to be honest with JHD. I've stopped having the argument. I just walk away from it any longer, and if somebody tells me, I want to ban assault rifles, I tell them the same thing. Every single one. You can have mine hot and empty. And they look at me.
I don't know one single person that's given up jack squat. And I mean nothing anymore. Nothing else. They're not giving up firewood. They're not going to give up their diesel fuel. They're not going to give up their loud mufflers. They're dang sure ain't going to give up any kind of guns, ammunition, or anything else. And I questioned a bunch of guys gathered up the other day. And the look you get when you walk up to a dog when it's eating and you reach down like you're going to stick your hand in his bowl? That's the look I got from the whole bunch. And I thought, better shut up. These guys here has already made up their mind. They're not giving up jack squat, period.
Yeah, and HD, let me tell you something. 100%. The only reason why I'm on here right now is my respect and like for you, right, and the guys that we talk to, because otherwise I'm done talking about this fucking shit. It's come and do it or shut the fuck up, okay? Because you ain't gonna fucking do it. And I know the cops in my town sure as fuck ain't knocking on my door, because they know if there comes down a notice, oh, it's time to come confiscate magazines for Illinois, they're staying the fuck away from me. Why? Because they know I got more than enough to where they're not going home. And most people are just like those fucking 4 cops in Broward County. They want to get home. Most cops are just like them. They want to get home. And you know what they're not going to do is go knocking on other fucking people's homes thinking they're going to go kicking in doors. Not when they can almost guarantee a percentage are going to be shooting back at them. Because we're not going to dissuade anybody. Like you said, the lines are already drawn, and the fucking useful idiots, those people that live in the cognitive dissonance land, they're just going to keep spewing the shit they hear on the media, right? About how, you know, fully semi-automatic guns should be blocked.
I'll give you one better than that, dude. After this school shooting started, and I may have already, I've already told a few people. I got a phone call from my relatives are in Peru on vacation going to Machu Picchu and call me to gripe about the AR-15. And I'm like, holy cow, don't you realize that all your calls, any international calls, are monitored and listened to in real time? No, they're not. Wow. Blind leading the blind, leading the blind, leading the blind.
It's just scary, man. It really is. I mean, how's it over by you, HD? It's got to be getting crazy with all them fucking, you know, new transplants from California screaming at the top of their lungs.
I think they all live next to Tony.
Well, I know it's like that here in Illinois, right? First thing that happened, you know, all of a sudden there's this magazine ban and all this shit, and I was waved to the cop today. I'm like, hey, how you doing? We all know. I've seen him at the range. He shot my fucking guns, right? He knows what's going to come if he starts coming and knock on my fucking door thinking he's going to confiscate magazines and shit.
But I did an anecdotal drive by the gun store today because I've been hearing. I saw the gun show footage of lines out the door and stuff. So I have to go. I mean, I've heard stories around here, but I had to go check it out because I haven't been there in a while because I haven't really had the need. So I went in, and it's a local gun store, so it's not like packed to the gills. It's not like a Cabela's where everything's gonna be full. Anyway, it's never like that. So there's always empty shelves to a certain degree, but it was more bare than usual. And I was just like joked about it. He's like, yeah, it took about 2 weeks for the wave to hit us. So he was basically saying about 2 weeks after at the end of February is when they started getting cleared out. He's like, yeah, they've sold a lot in the last week or so.
Yeah, I went and bought a couple magazines, right? Because now I got to start picking up AR magazines. So I stop in my local Rural King. They usually got pretty good deals, right? And they were racked full. They were full, right? Fucking guns everywhere. They had at least 25 ARs on the fucking racks. They got one when I went in there. One. And they are empty of everything but long guns, everything but bolt action long guns. They're selling out those shorty shotguns, those not a shotgun, not a fucking whatever, right? Not an SBS. They're selling out those things like crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see a single black gun today.
And every semi-auto they were selling out. You know, and the ones that were still on the rack were sold. They're just waiting for their 3-day or their day or to go pick it up later that day.
Yeah, I didn't see. I was looking for a parts kit. Lower receivers were thin. There wasn't a single upper receiver, I don't think. Like you couldn't put one together with what they had on the shelf, I don't think.
Yeah. So, you know, look, I got it. And me and the gun guy behind the counter, we were both laughing. You know, it's like, look, I mean, one thing you got to say is after every one of these things, the fucking gun companies love it, right? Because they were they were hard pressed to sell a $400 AR last month, right? Well, all those $400 ARs are gone, and the next ones to show up on the shelves are going to be back to the 6, 7, 8.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mule, because that's my next subject I was going to dovetail into. Thanks.
Hey, dude.
Well, I know I'd hate.
With our wavelengths, even though it's fucking 2,000 miles, they're still right on point, brother.
Oh, yeah, because
I'd hated to wake up this morning, like I say, a duck wakes up in a new world every day. I'd hated to wake up this morning and say, I think I want to be a prepper now. I think I'm going to go buy me a whole setup. Yeah, I hope you got a pretty good trust account set up there, buddy, because they're going to get most of it.
Yeah, so talking about the gun companies and who we talk about they have big sales and everything. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true this time around. And I'm going to use the latest news for that example. We talked about it this morning on there with a lot of the financial companies are coming after them, and a couple other, there's been several not boycotts, but dropping of product if you're not aware. So I'm going to pull this up on the screen here and show everybody what I'm talking about. This is a new article, and there's been several through the week. So it's not, it's a continuous trend of basically denying gun manufacturers of capital to do business. So BlackRock is a big investment hedge fund manager, all that good stuff. And they say it's time to take action on guns and may use voting power to influence. So this is the largest asset manager in the world, details its approach to the gun industry in a 3-page letter. An overwhelming consumer interest, which is probably just important people who invest with him. It's probably all that matters. It's not talking to everyday Joes, I'm pretty sure. It's showing its customers options for changing their investments to exclude stocks of gun makers and new funds that don't invest in the industry. Other large passive fund managers haven't been vocal activists in the past. So that's one issue. And it happened earlier in the week, too. Another large investment group said the same thing. But then there's other on down the line third-order effects. Were you going to say something, Mule?
Yeah, HD, they've tried this before, right? After Reagan got shot and there's been a couple of times they've tried this in the financial industry, and what happens is money talks, bullshit walks, right? There's a shitload of money to be made making guns for the American market. That's why every overseas market wants to put guns here. That's why when we actually put an import ban on guns, it hurts.
But they're actually, I think they're following through this time, though. I think it's more significant this time around.
Nothing I can say, and look, and there's some companies like Cerberus Group that are breaking up anyway. But wherever there's a profit to be made, somebody's going to show up, right? And
well, that's what I'm saying.
Hathaway is going to jump right in if this fuckstick wants to jump out. Berkshire Hathaway is going to jump in, right?
I think he already made a statement about bailing out. I think he made a statement earlier in the week. I'd have to look it up. But the big dogs are we know the big dogs are leftists anyway. So they're going to have their security and everything. They're not worried about it. But we had the Dick's Sporting Good thing. We have Walmart now saying they won't sell to anybody under 21. We have
Kroger sold guns. And the fucked up part about Dick's is not going to sell guns except in their Field and Stream, right, subsidiary.
Well, no, they're getting rid of all AR style black guns, all those.
Field and Stream only out of Dick's.
No, they said they're getting rid of them in Field and Stream. I read that article.
They're not doing shit with their subsidiaries. It's just their main store, their main outlet that's doing it.
Nah, what I read said Field and Stream stores is the only place they sell guns anymore. They don't even sell guns in the main Dick's store. From what I read, I don't even have one near here, but
Dick's is the one that sold this fucking kid the AR. That's one of the reasons why they first jumped on.
No, they sold him a shotgun, Mule. They didn't sell the AR. They sold him a shotgun.
Are you sure about that?
Yep. I'll try to. It was in CNBC. It's in my chat earlier in the week.
They asked the guy. He was on TV during an interview, and he said that what they sold him was a shotgun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
But
see, that wasn't what I read. I read they sold in the AR.
I don't know. So many people's panic buy. Now I may be reading this wrong, but I think they've had so many panic buys. I mean, Obama loaded the market down with ARs because every 2 months it was, we're going to have to do something about these assault rifles, and it was a panic buy and a panic buy. Dude, I think people had like 2 or 3 ARs, and they said, I need to go get one more AR. No, you really don't, dude. Yeah, I'm going to go get one more.
yeah, that's an issue. Panic buying should never happen if you're any type of prepared person. But
Even
here's
before that shooting, even before this shooting, I had plans on I was buying a new rifle, and I've been looking for this one because of its rarity. So it just happened to dovetail, you know. And I'm lucky because, believe me, now the guy would probably jack it up another $200.
so we talk about the panic buying and how it's affected people. So the people that make Smith and Wesson, American outdoor brands, their stock got hammered yesterday during trading, and they got shut down on the trading market because they were down like 30% for the day or something because they had less than expected earnings. Their earnings last year were a lot lower than expected. Part of that's because nobody's panic buying because everybody's all happy Trump's going to save us. And so that happened yesterday, and they were getting crushed. And they put this statement out today, which looks like this evening or yesterday evening, it looks like, which I hadn't seen it yet, but they're putting out a statement about the event and stuff. Did the guy use an M&P? Was it an M&P AR?
I believe so.
Okay. That probably has something to do with it.
No, look, so many people make them. Who the fuck knows? Could be an MP, could have been Ruger, could have been whatever. I know it wasn't a Daniel Defense. Those things were like $1,500, $2,000. Shit.
Right. It wouldn't have jammed if it would have been a Daniel Defense, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting article. I don't think we've ever heard of a situation where a gun jammed in one of these shootings. Even the Vegas thing, I don't think they've ever proved it.
There's been a couple. There was that one that got stopped. I think it was in Oregon, where the guy looked at the guy and started to pull his gun. He was trying to protect his family, and the gun jammed. Guy ran into a stairwell and shot himself. But every once in a while, look, the one in the Aurora guy, his gun jammed. His AR jammed. That's why, look, I just laugh about it every time it's an AR and it jams because it's actually happened before. I'm pretty sure Pulse jammed at least one magazine too.
The Aurora shooting in the theater?
Yeah.
Is that why he ran out, or supposedly?
That's why he had to switch to shotgun and then run out. Yeah.
Oh, he transitioned to shotgun.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
I know
it's funny, a lot of people don't.
There's another saying that they say in basic rifle marksmanship is that the enemy's gun never jams.
Well, that's because they were rocking AKs, But anyway,
I knew you don't say that. I read that into it when I said that.
I figured you did, James.
Bunch of commie freaking arms lovers. I don't know.
Hey, baby. Hey, but this commie arm takes an AR mag, right? Drop free, baby.
Right? Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay, so you got a transgender gun. What else is new?
Actually, you know what? If they want to make, the liberals happy and whatnot, fine. Let's give them a sacrifice. Fuck the bump stocks. Give them the AKs. Just ban the AKs and get it over with and leave our ARs alone. How's that?
They've already tried that multiple times. And then they make a deal with some fucking, some Eastern European country like Romania where we're going to help support you, but, the only thing you got to sell is guns, so we'll let yours in. Or the breakup of Yugoslavia, right? How were they able to support Croatia and Serbia, right? But not get either one pissed off, right? Buy their guns. You want peace? You want peace in this whole fucking world? Allow America to buy your guns. The American citizen to buy a gun. We'll buy them all. Fuck you.
Mr. and Miss America, turn them all in.
The rest of the world, give them us. We'll buy them all.
All right,
we buy
Tony.
Points.
Tony, I gotta shut Mule up for a second, so give you a chance to speak. Tony, how's it going? What's up?
It's going. We had that long one this morning, me and Angel. We went for 3 hours, I think.
That was a while. It was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught some of that.
I gotta censor myself on HD's chats though. I don't want to bring too much heat on his channel.
Yeah, I got enough heat from Mule, so it's all good. We know how that rolls.
That's funny.
Well, I'll try to be a southern. I'll try to be a southern gentleman while I'm in here.
Nah, nothing new, man. Well, I can't say anything that hasn't already been said or I didn't say already today. You know. I'm slipping down the pessimist down that road though. I'm starting to see nothing but doom and gloom in the future.
So to kind of tie in what we're talking about here, we talked about the political side and how they're going after the laws, which we don't think there's really got much of movement there, at least on the federal level. People talked about states doing stuff. Like, didn't Illinois do something to spur the moment, Mule?
It hasn't gone through, but it ended up in, look, they brought about like 10 bills that passed our house.
Okay.
Right. Because the House is 100%, not 100%, but, the majority is Democrat. Right. So it fully passed, and the only lucky thing we have right now is we have a governor who's Republican and the Dems are hot on his fucking trail. And the Republicans voted him in. They're going to save his ass if he doesn't sign a bit of gun legislation. If he even thinks of signing one, he's gone. But I know for me, my due date's a year and a half from now. Once my daughter will graduate high school in June of 19. So I'm hoping to be the fuck out of here by July of 19. Because there's no saving this fucking state either. Some of these states, there's no fucking saving. There's no saving California. I'm sorry for all the people I like that live out there, but there's no fucking turnaround there. Right? It's not going to go back to being the beautiful sunshine state of fucking California, right? It's just not.
Well, I think California is our prime example of the breakup because the state of Jefferson is formed. The state of Jefferson has a political entity and is there ready to take, do its piece when the rest of California goes its own way. That's going to be a primary example for the rest of the country.
There's more states like it, dude. I hear talk here in Illinois, right, of cutting off the 5 counties surrounding fucking Chicago and saying fuck you, right? The same thing with around St. Louis. Turn these cities into basically their own little fucking places and leave the rest of the country alone. And that's what they're talking about here in my area. There's rumbles of cutting off Chicago. Fuck you. You go be your own goddamn state. Collect taxes from your people, feed your people, do your shit, instead of stealing all this money from us to do what? Line the pockets of fucking people like Rahm Emanuel? Fuck that. And that's why the cops out here know they ain't coming for anybody's magazines. They got nothing to say about it. If there's a left-wing cop in most of these small-town forces, they're keeping their fucking mouths shut because most of these guys, deer hunters, clay shooters, duck hunters, they ain't fucking around. They're corn-fed boys, who know better than to go knocking on somebody's door saying you need a gun. The only time a cop goes knocking on a door saying they need a gun, hey, come help me kill this fucking deer that got hit by a truck.
Right. Yeah. I don't think any of the rest of us. What I know, the Florida legislature shot a bunch of stuff down there, Angel. So I think you're safe in the meantime on your end.
No, you're supposed to have something on the news briefly today about Monday. I think it is. They're supposed to be voting on some more stuff, some crap that Rubio submitted or some shit. I don't know. So we're not out of the water yet, or out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
Well, I read something today where, they put that bill in and tried to pass it. I guess it was 3 days ago in Minnesota. And I think I read today, unless I've read it wrong, they shot that down. And it covered a bunch of stuff. The last thing was, if you owe back support, if you owe back child support, you're not allowed to own a gun.
That's the thing, though. Like I said, they're going to do it little by little. They're going to do it little by little. Even if those bills don't pass in their completion, like look at Florida, right? We shot ours down a couple of days also. and everybody was pissed at Governor Scott. Whatever, you know, but he's turning around and he's raising the age limit from 18 to 21. To most people, that's nothing. To me, that's a huge deal, right? He's allocating more money for mental health issues, whatever, all this other crap, mental health restrictions, and all. See, to me, that's a huge freaking deal, and a lot of people don't see it that way, but to me, it is, because, again, little by little chipping away, and that's what worries me.
Well, that's why we're always going to lose, Angel. But here's the thing: I don't think the 21 thing is going to stand in court, right? Because the first time that somebody tries to stop somebody, all they got to do is get a fucking lawyer and say, "Listen, if I can go serve in the military where the government gives me a gun." So I don't think the 21 is going to stand federal scrutiny, but it's going to take somebody having to get, just like everything else, 922R compliance is still a law because it could, even though it can't stand federal scrutiny. Why? Because nobody's ever fucking challenged it, right? And this is going to be our problem. Any of these laws, unless they get if they end up putting a law in saying 21, if nobody challenges it within a short amount of time, it's going to end up becoming a pretty solid fucking law, entrenched and hard to get out.
I'm gonna say there'll be some 20-year-olds that enlisted in the military at 18 and went through basic and jump school and went through Ranger school and is 20 years old. You're gonna tell them that they can't own an AR-15 if you lost your mind?
What about 19 and 20-year-olds that are leg guys that did a fucking tour over in one of the sandboxes? Do you think
I rest my case.
I'm saying, but they're going to have to take it to court, right? They're going to have to take it to court if they end up making it a law. But I don't think it's going to make a law because these people are supposed to be fucking lawyers, so they should know that it won't stand. But they have to do something. We have to do something. The children. We got this kid on TV telling us, 18-year-old who just put down the Tide Pod is telling us we got to ban guns. We need to listen to that kid.
Right. Well, tell me something. Doesn't the Constitution, right, Second Amendment, say, the right to a well-regulated militia, and isn't the militia 18 to 45?
No, it's 13 to 45 or something like that, or 15 to 45. I don't think it's 18, is it?
Well, I had heard 16, but then when I looked it up the other day, I'll look it back up again right now. I could have sworn that it was 18. I thought it used to be 16.
As of now, it's 18 to 45. Yes, you're right, Angel.
Okay.
When the age of adulthood starts advancing, they advanced it with it. But you notice that they didn't change it to 21 because they want to be able to do what? Selective service starts at 18.
Yeah, and I reckon that's a law. You have to do that.
So, they can't say that you're not part of the militia if if you're 18. You have to sign up for selective service to be able to be indoctrinated into the military and to be inducted, right? To be drafted. So,
it was actually since the Militia Act of 1792, it was put in that it was between 18 and 45 for males.
So, verified that.
Right. So then, according to the Constitution, to the Second Amendment, which that applies to the militias, not only the right to keep and bear arms, but also to the militia. So wouldn't saying that you have to wait till you're 21 to buy anything, whether it's a rifle or a handgun, wouldn't that be considered unconstitutional? Or shouldn't it be?
I think you're on target right there with that.
Me too. You know what? Hey, let's get a lawyer.
10-1. What is it? The Supreme Court would probably say, well, we disagree for whatever reason, and people will buy that as law. Why not? They've done it before.
It won't ever make it to the Supreme. They'll shoot it down in the Ninth Circuit, just like they did Trump's travel ban and everything else.
Well, no, you just got to keep it out of the Ninth Circuit, right? You do understand there are at least 8 before that and 3 after it. So
yeah, it would need to come from someplace like Texas or Montana or something.
Yeah. It would need to not be in the Ninth Circuit, but it will happen, right? But here's the thing. We're fucked anyway because, like you said, incrementally, they do it generational by generational by generational. We played with guns. We had gun racks in our fucking high schools in pickup trucks, right? That never fazed anybody. Nobody called an alert, right? These days, somebody gets fucking arrested in school for saying that the fucking square root symbol looks like a gun in a fucking high school in an honors class because they're fucking with square root.
You can't make this stuff up. It's idiocracy.
No, you cannot make it up. It is just beyond idiotic.
Today, 3 schools in the Seattle area were shut down because somebody dropped a fucking pressure washer hose. And they thought they were throwing a gun on the ground and then jumping into a truck and running away after having killed somebody. No, he just washed a fucking car.
I don't even understand how that sounds even close to the same. I don't even get the...
I don't understand it either, but I shared it over on Facebook. You can go look it up yourself. It's in fucking either Seattle or Portland. One of those 2 fucking idiocracy towns.
Well, Don't forget about the Pop-Tart, guys. Quick, throw me a Pop-Tart. I need a handgun.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That's why I say we're going to lose, right? Because it is incremental. It's fucking step by step. And while the increments may be getting faster, you see it happening every day, right? We played cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, World War II. You know, I'm a Marine and you're a Jet, fucker. You know, or you're a fucking Nazi and I'm a goddamn 82nd Airborne, bitch. You know, whatever, right? We did it. And nobody said shit. We did it in the schoolyard. We did it in the gym. We did it after school. We did it everywhere, right? We played with guns, real guns and fake. Some that looked as real as fuck. You know? And nobody cared. But since they've been implementing their thing step by step by step by step by step, now people are afraid of the sight of a gun. They won't serve cops. They call cops on cops because they got a gun. A uniformed officer walks into the fucking
that's right.
sandwich, and they tell him to leave, and they'll call the cops on them while the cop is standing there. Why? Because he's in uniform and he's got a service weapon on him.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up.
When I was a kid, if you found a big piece of pipe out in the yard, you know, cardboard pipe or something, you pick it up and put it on your shoulder like it's a bazooka. Nowadays, when the kids find a piece of pipe in the yard, they either pick it up and try to smoke it or suck it.
Yeah, I was going to say they probably try to sit on it and see if it fits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's don't go off the rails too quickly here. We still got a lot to go over.
I'm trying not to. I kept my mouth shut, right? I had a few things to go with this, but I said no.
All right. Hey, we've been going an hour and a half without talking to the side chat. Well, Angel has been, I guess. I'm going to go out here and just at least acknowledge everybody. Thanks for coming out. 01 Crom made the last comment about the Constitution don't matter. Due process is out the door, too. Boneyard Militia is with us. Welcome. Come in. Stan Ulch from Canada has joined us. M. Long. Everybody's talking about their ARs and their past lives, it looks like. Everybody's bringing up what they did back in the day with guns in high school and yada, yada. Lashkin Christian's with us. Welcome. First rifle was at age 10 on a coveting age hunt with his father. Right on. Angel's agreeing with Sparks. That can't be good for you, Sparks, if Angel's agreeing with you. There is no age limit on liberty and rights. This is true. Fuzz Fork is out there. How you doing, sir? The 2018 law is set up that if you find something unconstitutional, it won't nullify the whole bill. Right, they'll line item it and just strike through a little piece that you can't attack the law at its whole, right? They're out there chatting it up all the way back. Jay Sparks, Fuzz Fork, Boneyard Militia, M. Long. You guys are just back and forth. All kinds of stuff going back for a while. Galenas Vilkas was in here for a second. ARs are the safest rifles on the market. If you throw dirt on them and they jam, they can't kill people. Oh, touche, sir. Touche. That's why you don't throw your gun in the dirt, period. It's just bad practice. I think that catches me up if everybody's joined us in the side chat at least. I think we got some people out there lurking and just watching and listening. NSA's taking notes, I'm sure, as is the ATF, FBI, and everybody else probably. But thanks for coming out. Take careful notes. But we've talked about the political side and the different laws we could expect and how that might impact or might there might not be as much impact, especially federally. But this attack on the companies themselves and removing their income to make essentially to where they can't produce product. If gun manufacturers aren't producing product because they either don't have the capital to get through loans, or their stock prices are so low they have no way to sell stocks to make money to go out and buy capital, new machines, stuff like that. Or you've also got all these retailers lining up and casting them aside and saying we're not going to do business with them anymore. We had the case this morning where REI, which is a big outdoor store who doesn't sell guns, is cutting off business with, it's called Vesta products, who make Camelback and some other things, but they also make Savage Arms, or they own Savage Arms, just put it that way. So that's another revenue stream for these companies, and they're being excluded because of the firearm issue. If these companies can't sell product to continue to make more money, they're not going to be able to continue to make these weapons. I mean, that's that common sense. And these leftists control the top tier of these corporations. So if they continue this attack and this trend line, when are we going to start making our own 3D printers in our own little gun shops and doing our own thing?
Those are already $1,500 a pop, right? So $1,500. Those make your own 45 and AR, right? Coming from the same guy who invented the goddamn 3D gun, right? He puts them out, sells them for $1,500. These little maker box that all they do is make frames for your ARs and 45s. And I'm sure with new programming, when they figure out the new program, it'll be for whatever, right? And they do it in metal. So shit's already coming for that. But I think the way we can handle that is we boycott those companies that are boycotting. You know what I mean? It's a fucked up way to do it, but it's the only way that really works, right? So right. Whatever it is, it's dropping outdoor, whatever the hell it was you mentioned, right? So whatever they sell, I'm not going to buy now. I don't give a fuck what it is. What other companies you work with, I'm done. Unless it's gasoline that's the only gas station in town, I'll buy somewhere else. And I'll tell them. You know, and that's what we have to do as consumers. That's the one thing that's always worked as consumers is the boycott, right? Now, companies are going to try it, but when they do, they then find out that what happens when we stop buying your product because you're boycotting this other product.
Yeah, and we've seen that with the NFL. I mean, the NFL is probably the biggest example of pushback.
And it's pushback because here's the deal. All these companies, for all their multi-million-dollar products, they all depend upon us to fucking buy them. Right? The ultimate is coming down to the consumer who has to make a living and buying some shit that they really don't need for the most part.
So I think the biggest stick in the mud here is Walmart. As Walmart has come out and said that they're going to raise the age to 21 for long rifles, for any weapon. Which they don't sell handguns at Walmart, I don't think. So it's all rifles anyway. So that's probably the biggest one that applies to probably everybody at least once a year, goes into Walmart at some point.
But you don't have to, right? You don't have to, and it's probably better if you don't. Now, for me, the only thing I went into Walmart for was ammo. So, you know, me stopping there is okay. You know what? Fuck you. I won't buy you from you anymore. I'll buy it from Rural King. Rural King's still selling it. Doesn't give two shits. It's going to follow the laws as written. If they ain't changed the law.
I read something about a week ago, I think it was now, that's even scarier, which is that the big banks were getting together and talking about collectively doing something against the gun industry. And what they figured out was they wanted to, like JP Morgan, Chase Manhattan, and stuff like that, to any business which deals in firearms to stop serving them when it comes to like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So if you have a business that sells firearms, you can't make any or sales or anything with credit cards, or use your business credit card to purchase anything like that, and that's really scary.
Well, you can still go around that with cash, but also that goes back into what this first article we pointed out with the BlackRock investment firms. These large hedge fund managers and investment firms take their stocks out of their portfolios. That's going to have a similar effect, just on another avenue, basically. It's taking the credit card on a different end of the spectrum.
Right. And
well, the gun
That's what I was
companies
going to
want to
add
listen.
to that, like, for example, yeah, you could do, what is it? You still got cash, right? You still could do check. You could still do money order, and you could do a wire transfer. But think of what that's going to do, though, right? I mean, I can buy ammo locally or get it for like 70 cents on the dollar if I order it online, sometimes 60 cents on the dollar if I order it online. And I'm not going to go through a trial. Hell, I don't even have a checkbook. I do everything either cash or card. So, I mean, that's going to be a real inconvenience that's going to hit hard.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it because, again, here's where lawsuits are going to show up, right? If they were able to sue a baker for not fucking selling a cake, right, to gay people, there's going to be a lawsuit on them not dealing with, a legal product. I mean, it's, again, why can't gun companies be sued? Because they're selling a legal product. If they sell a faulty product, they can be sued. But if it's legal and fully functioning, they can't be sued for any of this shit, for people using it to break a law. And it's the same for selling product, right? You can't say you're not going to sell something, blah, blah, blah. Or they're having that problem with banks right now in all these pot states, right? So all these banks are saying they can't fuck with these people's money, right? Because of the feds. Yet there's millions of dollars swimming out there, so much so that these pot companies are getting together and making their own fucking banks. And now the banks are worried about that shit, and they're lobbying the federal government to try and change some of these fucking banking laws to allow the fucking banks to be able to deal in the money in these legal marijuana states, right? So what I see is going to happen is all these places where they put restrictions in and start doing all those boycotts, they're going to start getting together. You're going to see the pot industry, the gun industry, the whiskey industry, all these fucking industries that try and boycott out or starve out in the banking because of the elites controlling. They'll get together and start their own fucking thing and end up taking over the ones that are fighting against them. This is a 20-year thing, but it's going to happen. You watch. I mean, that's why Chase Manhattan, the same ones that are saying they're going to boycott fucking, Remington or Colt or whomever, right? Which is fine. Do it to all these big companies. The little ones I worry about. But they'll just get together like these fucking pot guys are doing and build their own fucking banks. How many goddamn little gun companies are in South Carolina? How many gun companies are in Florida now? How many gun companies are in Texas now? Well, if they start getting together and they go, hey, we'll just pool all our money together and work within our own little system, they end up getting rich. So this can end up being a good thing, not a bad thing. And believe me, those big companies are seeing it. And this is all show. This is all fucking PR. Right? Delta.
Yeah, but the government can regulate it and make it impossible for the little people to pull together. That's the whole thing, though.
Well, let's talk about the solution. It's a good idea to talk about the solutions for the manufacturers when they have their money streams being messed with by other corporations. That's what we're talking about. We talked about the government side already.
Yeah, but then you just got to step out and build your own. You know what I'm saying? Like exactly the same model that the weed companies are doing right now in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, California, right? They can't play in the legit pool, right? So now they have to build their own. Because otherwise, they're sitting on too fat of stacks of cash. It's dangerous, not only from a crime point of view, but even from a tax point of view. Even from having to start dealing with the government eventually, you don't want them coming after you and taking all your shit. You keep their shit aside, right? So
I wonder how Uncle Sugar does taxes on that. That's interesting.
It doesn't right now. It's not supposed to, right? And that's part of the problem.
If they're taxing it, they're legitimizing it, right?
States are taxing it and legitimizing it. I don't think they can charge federal tax on it. If they could, these people could be bringing up. If they're going after corporate tax, going after any kind of federal tax with these, some fucking bright ass lawyers should be coming up and suing the goddamn federal government and getting it off as a Schedule I drug just on that, because that's 100% taxation.
The employees got to be getting Social Security, FICA withdrawn, federal income tax withdrawn from their paycheck. Anybody know anybody that works in the industry? We need some check on this. It only makes sense.
I don't know. This country's so fucked up and backwards at this point. I wouldn't doubt if they're taxing them, if they're 100% taxing them while still keeping it illegal. Would not fucking surprise me in the least bit. You know? Shit, I bet Al Capone would have loved to have had that deal. Oh, you want to tax my booze? Here, I'll pay you off, just like I pay off the fucking Chicago cops. I'll pay off you too. Fuck you, Uncle Sugar.
Wonder how many people up on the hills got money invested in these manufacturers. I wonder how many of them's going to lose a little coin. Because I know
it's a lot.
I mean, Alabama's loaded down. Everybody moved to Alabama. Y'all remember Remington came here, and 6 Hour was coming here, and there's a bunch of companies that's moved here because of the new manufacturing and all, and they've left. Like one of them, I think one of them came out of New York. Didn't Remington leave New York or Massachusetts or something, or Connecticut?
New York.
Because
Springfield, Massachusetts, Connecticut.
I know the new Remington R1. I think the new Remington R1 pistol's built in Huntsville, Alabama now.
Yeah.
And some of these state senators here are investing, because I know one, Dale Marsh, has got a suppressor company with 3 or 4 or 5 CNC machines, and he manufactures suppressors, or his company does.
Yeah. So look, this is and I've said it many times over a long period of time, basically my whole life. That's the straw, right? The Second Amendment. They're going to pull that straw, and it's going to break. The only reason why it didn't back in '94 was that goddamn the grandfathering and everything that was already here, and the fact that there was a sunset date on it. Because they put in the kind of confiscation that they're, the one thing you got to say about all these Dems is they're finally coming out and saying it straight up, right? They're done with this fucking, a lot of them at least, are done with this talk around bullshit, right? They're now saying we need to come and take people's guns. And
yeah,
that's
outright ban, full ban.
And that sets everybody with one back on their heels going, okay, come take it. Who's coming?
I don't know. HD linked up a guy. I can't remember that guy's name. Something reloading page or reloading. It's a link you had on one of your videos, HD, and the guy's he's a bodybuilder dude, but he had a pretty good layout how they demonize you, or it was a theory
about how you would turn in your guns, what they're going to do.
Well, if you don't turn them in, they give you that label, and you can't buy or sell or trade, and they lock your bank account and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and we've had Angel mention that before, and I think Sparks has mentioned that before out in the side chat about that process and how they would do that.
Oh yeah, they've been saying that for the longest time. They would get the majority of Americans to willingly, well, not willingly, but they would get the majority of Americans to turn them in one way or another. And then the other ones that don't, right, they're going to get the rest of the population to rat them out for rewards.
But look, how many? Go ahead, you.
I just don't see. I see them attempting that for sure, 100%, right? And I see it going as well as the Syrian civil war. You understand what I'm saying? There are people out here that are dying, waiting for this to happen, have been waiting most of their fucking lives for this to happen, right? So I do believe what that'll start is the kind of I don't know how guerrilla action, terrorist groups, whatever the fuck you want to, freedom fighters, whatever the fuck you want to call them, you'll set them afire here in this country. And once you set one ablaze, there's multiple groups, like I said, because we're down to tribes now. It's no longer we're all Americans, right? It's now we're all in these separate tribes. You'll see the redneck revolt get out. You'll see the Black Lives Matter get out. And everybody's gunned up and ready. All these groups are all gunned up and ready.
Man, they were gunned up and ready for Hillary to go in.
Yeah. So, you don't think they're getting more and more stressed every day waiting for this? And if they say they're coming, come with it. And I think you're right. You're going to most people are sheep. Okay. Most people are fucking sheep, and we know it. How do we know it? I've been talking to people my whole life, and a lot of them are still walking around ba, right? All of us have. We've gotten together, talked to thousands of people online. And what do you see every day? Ba. So will most give it up? Yeah. But there's a percentage that won't, and they're the ones that are fully armed to the teeth and ready to go.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even that percentage that won't do it, right? Like, what good is that going to do? Unless you're planning on going out on a hell of, gunfire and making your last stand, that's not going to do any good for anybody.
If they're coming to your door, what are you going to do? I'm sending my kids out, and yeah, I'm going for it. But I have more friends than that. Let me put it that way. More people who are like-minded, and there's a lot of them out there. And a lot of them came out of the U.S. military that sure as fuck ain't going to be giving it up no matter what they got. Right?
Right,
And
but
remember,
what I'm saying is,
spent 15 years building soldiers for this country, sending them to war, bringing them home, and then treating them like shit. So you tell me a percentage of the population. You tell me how many it took to make this nation. How many actual fighters does it take to fight?
well, we're not going to have enough the way things are going to be able to make a difference in anything down the line. Because again, if you have a small percentage, right, even like we were talking earlier today, right, even if you have, I don't know, I don't even want to throw a number. Let's just say a very small percentage of people that say, okay, I'm not going to give up my gun. What good is that going to do, right? My Second Amendment, I exercise it 24/7. When I'm at home, I have my firearm on me. When I leave the house, whatever, my firearm is on me. I want it on me when I go to the store, when I leave, when I go for a walk, when I go take a shit, I want my firearm on me. If I have to have my shit somewhere hidden, buried, whatever, and I can't go out with it to protect me, what good is going to be having the Second Amendment, right? What good is going to be having that firearm if we can't use it when we need it? So my point is, why let it get to that point, right? Why let it get to that point where we have to hide what we have for some imaginary Red Dawn scenario? Do something now while we can.
What you have, right? First of all, don't hide. That's part of the problem, right? Look, we're all separated anymore for the most part. This is where you need to have a sense of community. You by yourself with your Second Amendment are getting taken down. You with a group of 20 with all of your Second Amendments ain't getting shit done, right? And we can bring that back to Bundy, okay? You look at the Bundy Ranch situation. When did shit get real? When the citizens showed up with the firearms, right? Then all the big bullies start finding out that guess what? That fucking porcupine might just happen to throw a few pines back at me before I fuck it up. I might get hurt in trying to fuck this thing up. They're not going to do it, right? And that's where you need to have a sense of community. You need to understand what real militia is, and that's your friends in your neighborhood who are armed, and you guys got each other's backs, at least in that sense, right? But most people don't know who the fuck their neighbors are today. So how are you going to have some group of fucking people that are going to watch your back if the fucking Broward County fucking sheriffs are coming to take your guns? Same motherfuckers that won't protect your schools are going to come take your guns. And what are your neighbors going to do? Here you go.
No, they're going to cheer the cops. They're going to cheer them.
A lot of them will, but not if your neighbors knew you, and the few neighbors that you had, the 3% of the neighbors that you had that were not going to let that happen. You understand what I'm saying? Look, there's people out there. Shit, if you look at any bad situation, look at every other country in the world. When shit goes south, what happens? Gets down to tribes, neighborhoods, and tribes, right? And the ones that ain't gonna get stomped on ain't gonna get stomped on, right? Even by the United States of America. Okay, are we occupying Vietnam anymore? Are we winning in Iraq or Afghanistan anymore? Big bully on the block, right? Has all the whiz bang shit in the world. Still can't beat some fucking goat herd. Right? And every one they kill, they make 5 more. The fuck do you think's gonna happen in this country? Yeah, we have generations of pussies right now, but you start there's a lot of kids whose the only problem is they've never actually been taught or tested.
I know the new strategy is not send troops in, just bomb the crap out of it. That's what they're doing in Syria. Dude,
Are they going to bomb Arkansas?
I don't know. They freaking bombing them big old cities over there laid out, and they just constantly doing airstrikes on them all day long.
Right. Fort Worth, Texas, right there up on the fucking line, right? Because you see Texas giving up their fucking guns. I mean, let's talk realistically. People ain't going to do it. What it will do is shatter this country into a million pieces.
Yeah, that'll be gloves off. We get stuff like that going on. No doubt.
Know what? Them boys right there, the thing about it, them boys there, they can shoot and they thinkers too. They're not out there screaming and yelling and a bunch of them's got some good tools. A bunch of them's got some killer stuff.
Look, I'm just saying, it's not going to be pretty on any way, shape, or form. Is it going to be pretty if this fucking thing works? If their agenda gets up to play, you know, right. It's not going to be pretty because there's many people like me that are not giving shit up. Many people, like probably most of the people in this room. And the thing is I do know people in my community. Like I said, I know my cops. I shoot with my cops, right? I know my fucking neighbors. I shoot with my neighbors. Right? Not only do we barbecue, not only do we watch kids play football and baseball and all the rest in my small little town, but we also get together every once in a while. We go out to the local range and we go shooting. And whenever people are at the local range on the sunny weekends or there's some special going on there, you know, everybody waves at each other. Oh, there's the guy I saw in the pizza place. Oh, there's the guy I see in Thornton's. Oh, there's the dude whose garbage I pick up. You know? And that's what most of the middle of America is like, right? And it ain't happening. And believe me, like
all I know is that I remember hearing the same talk, and like I said, nothing against Mule because I agree with you 99.9%. But just in general, you know what? I remember hearing the same thing before the Brady bill, and how that would never happen. I remember hearing things about things that were to come in the future by people that had inside scoops, and you know what? I didn't believe it. I said it would never happen. Everybody said it was impossible. And I look at where we are today versus, 20, 25 years ago, even closer to 30 years ago. And I'm in disbelief. I'm in shock because I would have never, ever, and nobody back then, if you would have told them what we would be like today, would believe it. But yet we are today where we are. So who figures?
25 years ago, the AK and the AR are the two most best-selling weapons in the United States, and just about everybody has one, right? An AK or an AR. But let me put it this way. If you think gun confiscation and people turning over guns is going to work, I mean, do you know how long guns were illegal for in Chicago? Do you know if they wanted to, they could go door to door and confiscate in Chicago. They've been fucking illegal there forever. Right, 360 people died already this year, right, in Chicago from firearms, right? They could go fucking scoop them up in a minute if they had the guts, but they don't, right? And the people in the neighborhood, they ain't turning them in. Why? Because they fuck you. I need them. I don't give a shit. Gangbangers shoot them on the streets, but every fucking door in every block of that house has a gun behind it.
Yeah, but you know what? You start turning off power. Right, you start turning off gas, you start turning off water to all those houses and those neighborhoods. Right, you start, getting people's jobs, fired from work, take away their livelihood, their food, their shelter. People start turning their shit in.
No, people start turning on the fucking people doing it. Right. So here's the deal: you turn off my power, I go out and I turn it on. What are you going to send? You're going to send a cop to come turn it off? I got a gun now. You sure that cop wants to fucking show up, turn off my fucking power? You sure that power guy's going to turn off my fucking power? Or my gas?
Well, nowadays, they don't have to go to your house to do it. They could do it from an office.
Automatic meters in where you don't have no
power. They could do it from wherever they want.
I know how to bypass it. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. People will have done already, okay? Plenty of buildings in New York City when I was growing up, they shut all power down on the block. Funny, all the squatters had power. You understand what I'm saying? All it is a fucking meter. Where are they going to shut it off to? They're going to have to shut off the whole fucking neighborhood. And then what? You're going to put a platoon around the fucking station where you shut it off at the neighborhood? And you don't think those people whose kids are cold, hungry, or in the dark aren't going to go fucking storm that goddamn thing, kill every motherfucker, and turn the power back on and wait for the next bunch?
No, I don't.
Then you don't understand humanity. Go check to plenty of other places. Look at
No,
fucking
I understand humanity, and I say it all the time, right? Like I tell HDP all the time. I look at people and I study history, and that's why I admire people. I admire people like, you know, the Irish, right? With the IRA, what they did, what they gave up to get what they wanted, which wasn't 100%. I admire people like those in Ukraine, right? The ones in Ukraine that refuse to bow down to us, the greatest nation, that are out there dying, giving up what little they have, which is their life, and that's it. I admire the people in Middle Eastern countries that we've gone there and destroyed everything and killed all their friends and relatives, and they're still fighting. But you know what? Those people have a lot of things that Americans don't have. For number one, they have a culture to rely on. We don't. That's been destroyed. Those people have a unity. They're a people. They stand together. We don't have that here in this country. I'm sorry. You may have small communities where people care about each other and they care about their families and their loved ones. But as far as the majority, there's no more American pride. There's no more people standing up for one another. Hell, we see people dying on the street and getting their asses beat, mugged, shot, raped, whatever, and people just walk by because they don't want to get involved for whatever reason. That's what the majority of Americans, you know, live like. I mean, you have a small percentage, but that's it.
But you know what, Angel, you don't need American pride to fight in your neighborhood and fight in your community. And that's the thing where there are many communities where they still have that close bond that won't have a problem taking out those who will come and interfere with and try to hinder their daily life. It has nothing to do with American pride.
I don't mean pride as like you have to have American pride to fight. What I mean is there's no unity.
There is unity spirit in many smaller communities, even in some urban communities and suburbs. You're not, it's going to be fractured. And that's the point we got back to earlier, is it's going to go in a million pieces in a million different directions.
And one thing, Angel, let me put it to this way. Okay, so first of all, what will happen is a lot, you know, there are always going to be people who will turn their shit in, right? And who will turn you in, right? The fucking Stasi wasn't, 48% of the goddamn East German people for no reason, right? But the other fucking 52% were fighting against them.
The rural South will stick together.
Well, no, and a lot of people don't. They love to push the underdog, right? So at first they'll be like, yeah, whatever. But then, of course, power, which corrupts, is going to overreach, and they're going to start fucking up the wrong people. They're going to kick in the wrong door that had no gun and shoot some kid. And they're already doing it in all these neighborhoods. So there's plenty of neighborhoods out here that are just waiting to start a guerrilla movement, right? Waiting for the right time, right place. That's going to be it, right? If they come trying to take our guns, are there going to be people that give them up 100%? Are there going to be people that will rat you out 100%? But there's not everybody. And those that are fight are just waiting for the fight. And that's where...
So you see, and that's where I disagree. Waiting for the fight and, relying only on the guerrilla tactics, that's where I disagree. Because while people can... they should make a move now. And again, don't settle for the leftovers, but go for the whole meal.
What move do you make now? Do you go kill your sheriff? What fucking move do you make now? Right? That's the
I've already been warned not to say what I really think on chat, so I won't say nothing.
I used to have this argument all the time with Tony. We can't make the first step. They have to make the first step.
They have made the first step. Look at all the laws that they've been putting in since the 30s. Look at the first national gun freaking thing that they did in the 30s.
Okay, I can try and explain it to you, whatever. But look, to put forth the call to arms now, you become a terrorist, right? It's real simple. To be proactive in this situation is a losing position. Now we're all going to lose anyway if it comes down to a civil war. Active turns, you do not get the winning side.
I'm a proactive type of person.
People calling me up and fucking showing me air shots of BLM offices in fucking Vegas and telling me to go bomb that motherfucker. Be proactive. Now's the time. Right? So I can't listen to the now's the time argument because I know when the real time is. When they start kicking indoors. In California right now, it's the time.
No, you know what? That's wrong. I'm sorry. I disagree. I'll take that back. It's not wrong. I disagree. And the reason I disagree, Mule, is because, like you just said, the time is when they come kicking in doors. Well, you know what? What about when they kicked in the doors at Waco? Right? What about when they killed the men, women, and children at the Memorial Building as a false flag so they can go ahead and turn the American public against militias? What about all the people that have been rounded up? What about the people that you don't hear about on the news that are taken away because of a post they wrote, something they said online, or just speaking against the government in general? So they have been kicking in doors. They have been killing people, and they do it in the open like they did with Lavoie and flaunt it. So when are people going to say enough is enough? You know when? When it comes to their door. And by then, it's going to be too late because it's just going to be you against them, and that's it.
Well, it's me and at least 10 people I know against them. So believe me, nothing comes to my town that I wouldn't know about in that situation. So believe, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. There's some communities, and like everybody was trying to explain to you, that are tight-knit enough where they're not coming.
That's their mission creep is so slow doing like that, they'll never win their agenda. They got to make a massive move.
They're not looking at us right now. They know they're not going to win right now. They're going to win with my grandkids, right? When they finally do make a law where this is how they win, they'll make a law where we can't sell them, we can't give them away, we can't do anything, but we get to keep them and shoot them, and they'll even give us fucking ammo for them. Go play with your toys until you're dead, and then they got to turn them in. And by then, through indoctrination, that third generation away, will say, oh, yeah, Grandpa's done with it. Here you go.
Yeah, I ain't seen but two people chop their stuff up yet. Some woman chopped her Glock up, a chop saw, and some other guy made a SBR on video on YouTube and incriminated himself. And I thought the bike was
too much money. You know, you ain't seeing homie chopping up his Glock. You ain't seeing poor asses like me chopping up no fucking AR.
And I thought Bikes was going to chop his stuff up. I asked, was he going to chop his up? And he didn't really enjoy that too much, but that was it.
Tell you what, I think I might go buy an airsoft to chop up, though.
Yeah, I think those are more staged events. I've got
real. One of those. It's not an airsoft. It's I guess the one shoots. It maybe shoots a little BBs. It don't work. And I was gonna give it the torture test, but nah, got better things to do.
No, you know what? I'm thinking about going and buying copies of everything I got and chop them up in plastic. You know, fucking buy airsoft, chop them up, put it on video, tell the cops I slagged them, and there you go. It's right on video, officer. The only problem is, like Angel was pointing out, then what fun is that? I don't want to fucking sit on these things and hide them. They're not only for my protection, but they're also for my pure enjoyment. Right?
That's right.
Playing with them.
I agree with that. I have to agree with that. That burning powder, that's a good aromatherapy.
Oh, I love the smell of cordite. Oh, I love that smell.
Yeah, and you know what? That's another reason why I'm never going to fucking hide them. I'm never going to hide who I am, and fuck them come for me, right? Because I enjoy it too much. You know, I enjoy the skill of it. I enjoy everything about firearms. I don't give a shit what other people say. And you know what? None of mine have killed people yet. Are they going to someday? Hopefully not. But I can also be honest, and were any of my AKs built for fucking shooting rabbits? No, they were built for killing fucking people. And that's where our side gets it wrong too, when we constantly say sporting purpose, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. The AR was meant to kill somebody. The AK meant to fucking kill people.
Well,
hell, wasn't that what the Second Amendment was written for anyways? It wasn't for hunting. It wasn't for sporting, right?
Right. It wasn't to take rabbit and squirrel and bear. It was to take fucking redcoats and Hessians.
Amen.
Indeed.
Well, I kind of think it's going to be hard for them to go around and say, well, this is registered. You're going to have to come up with it or blah, blah, blah. Dude, I sold it to a guy 6 months after I bought it because I didn't like it. And that was 10 years ago. I don't know what happened to him. I think he died, but I'm not even sure he got it. I can give you his wife's name. If you want to go over and question her, okay. Okay, so they're going to lock me up and give me a label because of that. I don't think so.
Probably. They'll probably say, well, you know what, Mr. Saints, you're going to have to come with us until you can verify where those firearms are. We're going to have to hold you.
I'll go down there. What I need to sign? Give me the pen.
Yeah, and that's what that guy was talking about in that video that we linked to, Saints, is, they're going to want you to provide that evidence, that receipt, that transfer, et cetera, which it's still good to live in states that you don't have to worry about personal transfers.
Man, there's no nothing. There's no.
Yeah.
Still
good to be places like that.
Somebody at the freaking Walmart parking lot, you give them the money, you get your shotgun, you go home.
Shit, right. I haven't. Yeah, I'm not even just shutting up at this point.
I mean, it's just the way it is here. They used to have guns at trade day. You go to trade day, and they'd have 10 old men with their pickup trucks that have everything there from old Smith & Wesson revolvers, those 1940s revolvers, up to new automatics, Rugers, whatever. Not a little bit of high-end stuff. Most of it are bolt action 30-06. You pay the man the money, you go put the rifle in your truck, and you go home.
Or you traded him because he was just selling them because he done played with them for a little bit, liked them, maybe didn't, wants to get rid of it. So what do you got? Well, I got 2 break open shotguns in this old Stevens pump, but I sure like that pretty little 9mm you got. I'll do it.
That's right.
I got a receipt to show them.
Nothing wrong with that. That ain't no difference in somebody. I'd a lot rather somebody be doing that and go, how much you got on that heroin right there, dude? Yeah, give me, that. And I need some of that PCP too from my old lady. Yeah, really.
They come to my door. I'll give them back their receipt and say, here, this is your guy's receipt when you first took them. So you never gave them back. So there you go. You already got them.
I got one of those too.
Yep.
From a particular church. But yeah. Yeah, because I never signed anything when I got them back.
I don't remember what the numbers were of that guy in that video we're talking about. I can't remember his name. Jason something or something like that.
I can look it up, Saints, if you want me to.
But he said, what did he say? What were the numbers? He said there were over 1 billion 30-round magazines in the U.S. and I don't know how many million ARs they said had been produced. 200. I don't know. He gave the numbers. It was unbelievable the amount of magazines.
And I'm sure he's close in his estimate because I'm not saying the person's not a smart man, but nobody can be accurate like that in a country this size. Okay, you just can't be. You can't be when they were handing out 30-round magazines and fucking every washer you bought, you got 3 30s after 2004, right? So they can't know how many got imported, shipped in fucking crates and containers over from the ex-com block countries.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, it's his name is Jason Blah, firearm enthusiast. I put the link out in the side chat. I'll put it here in the internal too.
He's got some strong talk. That guy gives some strong talk.
Anytime people start quoting numbers like that, because look, there's over 326 million people in this country. There's more than almost 2 guns for every person. And those are the only ones they know about, right? And they're only making a guesstimate. They don't have hard numbers. They haven't been keeping hard numbers. And before 68, nobody kept hard numbers, right? So before 1968, nobody kept hard numbers. And there's so many guns, guns, the only thing that destroys a gun is a politician and rust. How many people have been buying, were buying Mosins and Nagants 5 years ago for $100? When do you think the fucking last Mosin rolled down an assembly line?
Been a day.
Yeah, so they have no idea with these numbers. Magazines, right, and firearms themselves. Look, I know people who are doing the 80% lower all day. And when I started seeing 80% lowers in gun shows? Back in the fucking 80s. You used to be able to buy an 80% lower. In the fucking 80s. For those guys who were machinist enthusiasts, and this was something they were just into, you couldn't build them like you could now, where 10 minutes later you could have the rest of the gun ordered online.
Well, those Polymer 80s, they come with everything. They send you the drill bits and everything else. All you need is a screw gun and some parts.
Hey, like I said, this guy who did the first polymer 3D printed gun, he's put out $1,500 MakerBot kind of thing that will do it from the aluminum blanks. It'll just do all the cuts for you. It's like a tiny CNC machine. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and people ain't buying them and making just one on them either.
I'm just saying. Right? So how can anybody come up with how many fucking magazines there are in this country? That's like saying how much cash is in circulation. The fuck are you, nuts?
Well, the Fed has their number, but that's probably not accurate on the amount of cash.
I'll make an accurate statement here. More than they can back up.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fact. Well, it's not supposed to be backed up, Saints.
But on both things, right? So there's, on the cash part, on the guns part, more than they can account for, right? On all aspects of it. And I mean, tell me how they can account for every gun store that's robbed. Tell me how they can account for all the inventory out of every fucking gun store that got flooded over the past couple of fucking hurricanes. Right? That somebody busted into the middle of the night, cracked open their fucking, cracked open any paperwork, let it flood out so that way it's destroyed, and then stole all the inventory.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the regulations are on that. There's some recovery process for some of it, I'm sure, but it's a big, tall task. But they're still gonna have a large number that they can go after. It's not like they're gonna be holding, zeros. They're gonna have X number of thousands.
But
millions.
Even that's kind of problematic because I don't know now. I don't believe the government doesn't keep a file on, a list of it on computer or whatever, but they're not supposed to, right? And if you go look outside of the ATF, right, BATF, you'll see all these giant cargo containers that all that's filled with is fucking 4473s. They had to empty out buildings and start building a new warehouse to house all these things. So who are they going to get to find out where all these fucking guns are? And the guy I buy it from, the guy I buy guns from when I buy them legally, he works out of his garage, which he said when he retires he's going to have a mystery fire.
Insurance claim?
No, he probably won't even claim insurance. They'll just burn the fucking gun until he stops selling guns because he ain't giving shit to the government.
All right. Sorry, I meant to ask you, what's a 4473? What were you talking about? Oh, that's the document number? Oh, sorry. I was thinking about a gun number. Gotcha.
No. That's the thing we have to fill out when you're
the document number.
Be a legal citizen, right? You're doing what the law calls for.
Right.
Horse feathers.
I agree. But it's, look, we all have been programmed to go through hoops. We still stop at fucking red lights, even though there's nobody coming either way.
Well, the retailer is the one that enforces that. It's not like, the retailer's not going to do the purchase unless you fill it out.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Most people these days don't follow the laws all the time. And they know it now. It's conscious decisions they make these days. Right? In every fucking state in the union, it's illegal to text and drive. Tell me one that isn't. In every state in the union, it's illegal to have heroin, fucking crystal meth, cocaine, marijuana. Well, not marijuana anymore. But the other three I mentioned, still illegal in every fucking state in the union. It's still able to get in every fucking city in America.
Well, when they go up there and go in on James Yeager and capture his compound, and then they go out there to Reed Hendricks and capture his compound, take all his stuff, I might start watching the videos again. They're trying to keep up with the news on all of it.
Mine's very similar, Nugs. Actually, same age. Same thing, same charges, Nugs. Just to let you know. And he's that age where he's like, he told me last time I bought one legal, he's like, yeah, I might be burning this place down here soon. I was like, dude, tell me before your fire sale. Look, we're just fucked, okay? And all I've been telling anybody, the reason why I'm staying off most of the online shit is to look, buy ammo, get training. Hook up with people you trust. You can walk there and buy ammo and get training.
No, I second that.
Because I'm not telling you to buy guns. Don't buy guns, period. Why? Because you should already fucking have them if you're listening to this.
Yep.
And the thing is, you only need one rifle. You need your primary rifle, you need a handgun, and you need a shotgun per person. You don't need 4 rifles for yourself. I mean, people go out and they buy all these weapons. It's like, what are you gonna? You got a whole safe. You can only carry so many at a time.
That's all I keep too, is one rifle for every human, every adult human in my life, right? That's right in my particular family, and that's all I got.
Hey, you can be pretty young and hold a 22.
I've got pretty young ones. That's not the same. I don't count the 22 as the same, right?
Yeah.
You know, but between long guns, right? So between the 3 AKs, right? Now that I have an AKAR, blah, but I've always had 3 AKs, right? So between the 3 AKs, the shotguns, and the pistols, everybody's armed, right? And the new AR AK, the one that takes AR magazines, the only problem there is, it's just a different platform. But it's the only reason why I got it is because it's common to the United States. While I believe the AK may be more rugged, if shit does go crazy, I don't think fucking, I'm going to be able to run to Walmart or run to the gun store and get tool ammo if I run out for the AK. But I'm pretty sure if I kill the next fuckstick in the uniform, I will get 223 556. Boy, that shut up the one, didn't it?
I'm trying to catch up on the comments.
Yeah, the
quick.
side chat's saying biggest thing is buy night vision now. Yeah, I mean, if you've got one of the key ones, if you got all your sidearms and shotgun, rifle, long rifle, like you got to get all the other stuff. Then it advance progress further down.
Look, most of us ain't. I'm a blacktopper. I drive a truck for a living. I'm not a fucking soldier, right? Some of us were. You guys get everything you need to be able to get your shit right. Me, I'm going to be much like that little Haji out there that, has his AK for the weekend fight. That's going to be much more common in America because most people aren't trained up.
The biggest thing is obviously it is hard to afford night vision.
Yeah, but why would you spend the money now? I mean, I'm broke as a joke, so why would you spend the money now on night vision when I could just pick one up off of the ground and just get a can of black spray paint and spray paint over the blue? It's all good.
Exactly. I like
it. Might be a little late.
But
by then, advantage. It builds a combat advantage for you that you're going to need in the initial fight. It might be too late if you wait to get it after the fact.
You guys with night vision are going to be fucked when you start hitting neighborhoods like mine because some of us actually know what to do against fucking shit, right?
Well, that's the biggest thing to learn. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Do you know how much road flares cost at AutoZone? And you know how much fucking light it will wipe out any night vision in the fucking quarter-mile area for fucking road flares. So yeah, believe me,
that's all helps.
There's ways.
That's why they burn tires in Mogadishu.
Fucking right.
Simple stuff, and that's good stuff to know right there. The chat room, I'm sure, is paying attention, taking notes. But knowing how to defeat those things if you don't have them, because if you take away their advantage early on, but you have to know they're coming. So, but that time when you don't know they're coming, usually that first engagement, it can be kind of crucial. It's just one of those things. If you can. If you can't, know what you need to do to mitigate it.
Yeah. And there are ways to mitigate. Look, like I said, goat herders are mitigating the fucking United States military, right? Greatest military this planet's ever seen. Such tech shit as anybody fucking ever could imagine, right? And we still got beaten by fucking little Orientals in Southeast Asia, kicked our asses pretty good, right? Maybe it was just politically, but they were sure doing pretty good on the ground too. Maybe not great, but pretty good, right? And same with every other fucking war since, right? We may claim we won the first time in Iraq, but we really didn't. They just pulled back. We didn't go in and do shit. We just got them out of Afghanistan. That's not a win. That was just bad defense. You know? Look, we get our asses kicked all the time. So what makes people think, and this is why I laugh when people say, what would you guys do against the might of the American fucking military? I'm like, look, first of all, do you understand most of them will step? Just like the cops. You're expecting cops to go kicking doors and fucking that they know they're going to get shot back at. Do you really expect them to do that willingly?
That's the biggest thing about when you look at these leftists when they make these arguments online, or they might just be internet trolls, but even some of the higher level leftist representatives, I guess you'd call them, always bring that up. You're going to fight the American military?
You couldn't get 4 cops, with fucking guns, training, blah, 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 to go up against one kid with 10-round magazines, right? Couldn't do it.
I'm still baffled that he had 10-round magazines. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't to me either, but whatever, right? I just take the info I'm given and roll with it, right? I don't fucking question. I question the info. I don't question the intent of human beings anymore. But
sounds like a part of the agenda to me.
But to me, that's 100%. Look, you expect these same motherfuckers who hit kids are getting shot, right? For whatever reason, they were told, they were afraid, they wanted to get home to mama. I don't give a fuck. But you're going to expect them to come into fucking neighborhoods? Like I said, they can't do it in Chicago. They ain't going to do it anywhere else except maybe liberal enclaves. And then they'll be doing exactly what you said, Angel. They'll be handing a gun. They'll be cutting them up, handing it to them. Oh, please, do you want a latte as you rape me and take my fucking rights away? You know.
Remember Boston? I mean, that shit still cracks me up with Boston, man. They were driving like a parade while everybody was coming out and go USA and clapping and cheering them on.
Place of the fucking revolution, and yet they rolled over and let fucking the redcoats come in and search their fucking houses for one kid. So yeah, I know what you mean, but that's not everywhere in America. The liberal East is not everywhere in America. Broward fucking County, which is pretty goddamn liberal, is not everywhere in America.
Yeah, right? Broward County wasn't like that years ago. It was all thanks to all those transplants from New York and Jersey.
% agree. When I used to go down there for fucking spring break, it was red as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But now, right, it's blue as fuck, and even the Cubans from fucking South Dade ain't fucking buying their bullshit.
Yep.
So, look. I understand there's going to be a lot of liberal fucktards that already do. They already just hand shit over and say, here, you're there to protect me. We see it all through society. All these fucking rich snowflake kids. Because the one thing I don't ever see, except when it's a black kid shot, what I don't ever see is all these black kids, all these people who actually have to work and try and fucking figure out a way to survive either through hustle or through earned income, right, where they actually go out and sweat for a living or somehow make their money, right? They ain't out there doing none of this fucking protesting. All this fucking protesting is done either by welfare fucking queens or fucking, trust fund babies, right? All that Occupy Wall Street bullshit lasted fine for a week, and then everybody started getting hungry. And those that had that didn't have some kind of disposable type of income, they went back to fucking work. Because diapers cost money, food costs money, lights cost money, rent costs money.
All right, I can't remember how we got off on subject here. I'm trying to think of how to drag us back. Oh, so
you usually have a bullet point list. What's on the next bullet point, Sergeant?
Whoa. That get you some NJP time right there. um, well, talking about the stars aligning, so we kind of, I guess, have run down that maybe the stars aren't aligning as fast as maybe it might seem when you think about how fast this last month has went on a lot of these issues. But you talk about the military assisting in these efforts or whatever. One of the big theories is that the military is going to be kept overseas and occupied, and the pace in Syria has picked up that would necessitate such a thing. If you look at the Syrian situation, it's like, why are we escalating there? Why are we doing these things? It doesn't make any sense. But it matches up with the agenda and what's going on here.
And HD, Syria is a feint. Look to Africa. You don't know how many people are in fucking Africa right now.
No, I know how many people in Africa. We got a ton of people in that. I know.
And half time more heading that way. Why? Because South Africa is about to fucking explode.
Oh yeah, right? We've been covering that for a couple of weeks now. I mean, they're running out of water. They're going to do a genocide on all their ranchers. Essentially, it's going to be bad. And I don't know that I guess we could get involved to help the border countries. I don't know if the EU is going to help. What they're going to do in South Africa? Like, what do you do when the country cracks down on its own people? Other than
but you know what? Here's another thing you got to think about with South Africa, though, is remember the BRICS? Not a lot of people talk about that anymore. Yeah, the banking system. Okay,
Brazil, Russia, India, China.
And South Africa. The S in BRICS is South Africa. And again, it's what a coincidence that South Africa is going what they're going through right now. Just as Venezuela's having
South
problems.
Africa went away from that when they got these Marxists in power. They were on that train 5-6 years ago, and then they jumped off it when those guys took charge.
Do you want to know what's going to happen? And I think you might. What's the big country going to come in and help both those countries? Good friends to both of them.
Both what?
That's
country?
Waiting in the wings. South Africa and Venezuela. They're waiting for Venezuela to finish tanking, and they're waiting for fucking South Africa to tank. And then China's going to come in and be Mr. Helpful Friend, help save the country and stabilize.
Well, China's already been wheeling and dealing with Venezuela. They've already been talking deals with Venezuela.
I think Russia has a better foot in the door in Venezuela militarily wise. I think they already have bases and a port set up.
Yes, they do. Yes.
China has everything around them. China's been investing in fucking Panama. China's been investing in Ecuador. China's been investing in all the countries around them. And Venezuela is the only one falling apart. Those other countries are actually doing very well, right? Because China's dumping a lot of money in there, okay? Because China wants to build the new fucking Panama Canal, or has already started, right? So, crazy world we live in. And China loves Africa. They're all over Africa. Those fucking minerals. They're not.
United States is everywhere China is, and China's been in Africa wheeling and dealing. Like I wrote earlier in the comments, China's out there making deals, and while we muscle and hustle people, China goes in and says, hey, give us a cut of your shit, and we'll help you or even build your infrastructure for you. And everywhere that China's been going in Africa, well, guess who shows up right behind them? The United States. So,
yeah, that's why we talked about a couple of weeks ago. China's doing this big infrastructure plan to link a ground route and a sea route to basically Asia, Europe, and Africa to connect all three of them in this big network of economy, an economic building project. It's not military based.
We used to do it. We used to start out that way too. We come in, help you out, we're all good. We give you fucking Coca-Cola. We give you Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's all good. But by the end of the day, after everything's said and done, 5-10 years down the line, now we're asking for a base.
Well, Kentucky Fried Chicken is good, dude. I just can't afford to eat there all the time.
They're just going to use our plan and make it their own. Of course, you go in economically, you go in first helping people out, blah, 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 do it the nice way. And then if they don't let you do it the nice way, or when you have enough, you can then start going hard.
But when we were doing that, we were using the counterbalance of the Russians as an excuse of why they needed us.
And China's going to use us as the counterbalance, or the Russians for them, right?
Yeah.
So they have two boogeymen, right? We only had one. We weren't really even worrying about China when we were doing it all over the world, right? because Mao Zedong was destroying their fucking country. So for 25 years, we really didn't have to worry about it. And when we did, fucking Kissinger went over and said, hey, guess what? You got your slave labor. We'll send over our corporations. You pay your slave labor nothing. We all make a ton of money. Everybody will be happy. Nixon signs the accords. All good. I now have fucking everything made in China in my house for the most part.
This week, I read that Russia finally surpassed China as far as gold reserves. That they're now number one as far as having actual physical gold reserves.
Russia over China?
Yep. This week, I read the article talking about it, how they're now number one as far as having gold reserves in the world.
Where did you see that?
I forgot. I don't remember if it was Routers or some article I picked up online.
Well, that actually makes sense now with that fucking bullshit Putin was talking about, the invincible nuke or whatever.
All right. Yeah,
Well,
he's been swinging that umbrella.
They've been talking, Russia and China have both been talking about hypersonic missiles that I know of. God, I've been reading about that for well over a year now.
Dude,
well, there was three things that the Russians came out with. One was that hypersonic MIRV, and then they said they had some new autonomous submarines that I guess, I don't know whether they went into harbors and whatever, and they said they had some new land-based some kind of crawler or something.
They're really that afraid of Trump. Wow. That they're starting to fucking go, look, we have Red October. You know?
Hey, that's interesting. Here's I'll drop this in an external. Here's a article on Zero Hedge came out this evening about DARPA asking for more money now to counteract this Russian threat.
Oh, dear. Never enough ammo. Never enough ammo.
I mean, look, we put solid tungsten fucking darts up in space in the fucking 80s, and they've been aimed down at this planet since then, just waiting for his hammer to drop, right? And you know, it's just funny. It just cracks me up that Trump scares them that much. I wonder who scares these people that much.
Yeah,
Trump?
but I don't think it's Trump scaring them. This is all in reaction to what's going on in Syria. I mean, you know, the propaganda that the U.S. is pumping out as far as, you know, Russian soldiers being killed, Russian, workers or mercenaries or whatever being killed by the U.S., how they're beating the shit out of the Syrian military along with the Russians. You know, the propaganda is being pushed heavy while they're out there, and they are doing it. United States and Israel are attacking, you know, Russians over there in Syria, and Russia's getting pissed, and they're barking, and I don't blame them for barking.
Look at all the movement, military operations, and all they're having on the border in Poland and all that. Those big U.S. over training, you know, biggest operation, that's right. Blah blah blah, and
I just read today we put 5 ships or some shit off of the coast or something in the Mediterranean close to Russia. I mean, this week. So yeah, you think Putin is concerned? Fuck yeah, he should be. The guy ain't stupid.
I mean, you take it that the Ukrainian border is 200 miles from Moscow. 200 miles is nothing.
Yep.
Invading army to cover. Not nowadays. Not with the lightning movement.
That's why Russia invaded Crimea, right? Because look, our fucking political, you know, Christians in action and all them motherfuckers have been screwing up the world for so long that it would not surprise me if we get our due, because this is exactly what we're talking about, right? That fucking around caused Ukraine to light up, right? Because the Christians in action were supporting this fucking rebel movement that didn't need to be going there, right? And it ended up breaking up that fucking country because Russia said, fuck you, we're going to come in and take Crimea. Why? Because they're still our friends, and they're going to say, and we need that buffer.
Well, the port, the Sevastopol.
Yeah, they need the port, and they also had the Russian base there, and the majority of the population in Crimea is Russian or Russian descent. So it's strategically and also nationally very important to Russia.
And to be honest, a large portion, look, the Russians way back in the 50s moved most of the blood Ukrainians out of fucking Ukraine, right? Why? Because of their collaboration with the Germans. So they shipped their asses off to Siberia and moved a shitload of Siberians to Ukraine, right?
Well,
They could do that.
Stalin starved a bunch of them out because they weren't producing enough food for everybody else.
No, those people that he starved out were those farmers that they moved from the fucking Siberia because most of the Ukrainians got moved to fucking Siberia. So they moved Siberians to Ukrainians to Siberia. The bulks of both populations. Little Russian
history. Let me
history.
read this real quick. So DARPA's asking for this money to counter the hypersonic Russian project. The DARPA chief here says, well, first off, the Pentagon allotted in fiscal year 2019 a 136% increase over 2018 in hypersonic efforts. And the DARPA chief says the fiscal year 2019 budget request calls for 136% increase over 2018 in hypersonic efforts at DARPA's laboratories. I don't think we got everything we wanted, but it was a good first step. My goodness, how much is it going to cost to make this crap that they want to put out there and just waste? It's a waste. It's ridiculous. So this is the new arms race, I guess. Hypersonic delivery systems.
Exactly. It's a new arms race. It's a way to fucking waste money, distract people. I mean, when you think about our fucking nuclear programs, you could have literally made
world hunger.
Utopia, right? Literally.
Yeah.
If you took all the money spent on just nuclear bombs in the past 50 years, you could turn this goddamn planet into a utopia. And we could have been out fucking, investing in space and out fucking, exploring different planets if you'd have spent that money on that shit. But that's never going to happen. Why? Because General Dynamics don't make a dime off that shit. They make a dime off of the fact that we can run out of bombs, bombing places. That's $1 million a bomb you just dropped there, boy. Thank you very much.
I don't know if we could probably pitch it that, we put space rovers and stuff out there at a $10 billion a pop, and they're disposable because they land on the Martian surface and they never come back, and we got to buy a new one. That's $10 billion a pop or something. So we could justify it.
You would think, but we don't, do we? We did it one time. Even then, we were still having a war, right? Vietnam was going on during that whole original space race that we got to the fucking moon with, right?
Yeah, that was still about the Russians, too.
We were still carpet bombing little people. You know what I mean? Well, blowing up huge sections of jungle just in case somebody was walking down the fucking Ho Chi Minh Trail at some period of time. If that was the Ho Chi Minh Trail, we just carpet bombed for 5 miles.
Look at there. Did you notice that connection right there? I called that out the other night to the guys. When that happened, those MIRVs are coming in on Tampa Bay and on Lake Okeechobee in Florida. Is that right? No, what is it? Angel?
Yeah.
Lake Okeechobee.
Okeechobee. There's the Everglades. There's Tampa Bay. And look where the missiles are coming in on.
Yeah, Joint Forces Command. Is that what you're saying?
No, on your screen share that you're sharing.
Yeah. Joint Forces Command is in Tampa.
Is that where that's at Homestead Air Force Base?
Joint Forces Command is in Tampa Bay, there somewhere. Okay. Is that Homestead? Is that what it's called?
No,
Homestead Air Force Base. That's done with. That's been done with for years and years and years.
Well, I remember the hurricane hit it, but I didn't know. I thought there's some kind of underground deal at Homestead.
Might be, but as far as being an known active base, no, that's done with pretty much.
So Florida's going to be cut in half because that's 8 warheads going in on right there on Florida.
And probably one of those is going to divert down to Palm Beach or something.
If they got the water, if they go to Okeechobee Lake, I mean, right there, you're talking about the water source for pretty much almost the entire state.
And NAS Key West is on down just a little bit.
But they don't want to destroy it. I mean, Cuba wants it, right? So,
I think that's just propaganda because, again, why would they destroy the land? They want to come in here. They want to be able to walk on the soil and shit. They don't want to destroy it that way.
But it's just an example. That's RT's footage right there. And all that stuff was released, I'm sure, from the military tech company for them to So is that propaganda? Are they showing that, or was that a boo boo and they let that go through?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to contact Putin. It's already Friday. I'm gonna have to wait till next week. I'm gonna call my boy up and I'm gonna ask him. Say, look, Putin, I'm always sticking up for you and the Russians. I love the Russian people and stuff, and backing you up in the Middle East. I mean, what? Come on, man. Now you're talking about destroying my house. Come on, man.
It's about time you put some strings, Angel.
I am. I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him next week. I'm going to contact him. If I can't call him, I'll drop him a text message. But either way,
Dave Sardi's got his phone number because I think he tried to call him one night in a Google chat. So you probably get his number from Sardi.
Angel, see, the problem is he still remembers that time you didn't give him a birthday card.
Nah, man, we're good. Me and Putin are good, man.
You forget a couple of years ago, you forgot it showed up late. Sorry, it was late, you said, but you don't forget that shit, that KGB cocksucker. Fuck no.
Shit, man. I actually looked up a few years back, man, to see how I can get like an autographed picture of him just for shit and giggles. And I got it. I got somebody in Russia to actually send me the link and everything of how you could get it done, I guess, from like their ministry of whatever. Then I thought about it. I was like, dude, that's how I already am with this and shit. I'm like, yeah, that's all I need to get a knock on the door. I was like, now I'll pass.
Picture right now. I'll tell you, if I did that, if I had thought of that, if I even fucking thought of it, I wish I would have. I'm jealous. I'd totally and I'd say, hey, can you get Putin to sign 2 Mule Team? Love you, bro.
Oh, yeah, they gave me, I talked to, I didn't like personally talk, but I asked a question somewhere, I forgot where it was. Somebody contacted me from Russia, and during the whole doing the translate thing, he gave me the links and I looked it up, and it's an official link where you can send a request, you give them your name, and they send you a personal autograph, they claim to be whatever person, but it's a personal autograph picture to your doorstep, anywhere in the world, they'll mail it to you.
I can ask
to you, your name.
Him riding a horse bare chested. Love you, bro.
Best wishes. Enjoy the vodka.
Oh yeah. Some right. Oh, we'll take the AK. I'm in America, right? Some shit like that.
But hey, I still got the link somewhere. I still got the shit somewhere.
I'd have it as my Facebook fucking everything. Everything I did, I'd be that. Because they already call me. Every time I comment anymore, I'm being called a Russian troll. Oh, here comes Moscow Mule. Yeah,
right. Moscow.
Oh my God, you fucking piece of shit.
Hey, speaking of trolls, let's go out in the side chat, see who we got joining us the last hour. Well, speaking of the devil, Ohio Wolverine just pops in. You guys didn't get an autograph pick from Putin when you voted for Trump. I guess he did. Quasar and JJ McKay's with us. How you doing, JJ? I guess he's dug out up there in Michigan finally. Dug out of the snow. Kevin Stoll's joined us. So a couple people popping in and here and there. They didn't talk much about the Russians. They were still talking about a little bit of everything.
What was Nug saying?
Quasar? Which time?
I just see Mule and then I see a sad face.
Oh, he said maybe it's the beard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for the...
I didn't have to cut mine off for gas mask practice like HD did. So
don't give away my practice secrets there, Mule. What are you doing? Who says I was practicing?
Wait a minute.
Rooster Cogburn's out there. I thought I saw somebody else hop in here. A Practical Outdoors joined us. How you doing? Good evening, not afternoon anymore. Quasar says we already have hypersonic ability, Aurora, the Aurora project. That's going back a few minutes. I think that's anybody new that's at least commented in the side chat. If you're out there not commenting, you're missing out. Please enlighten everybody with your words of wisdom. Join in the trolling, I guess. Troll lives matter, as Sparks says. All right. Oh, so we've beat up on Russia and starting a war with Russia, China, and the counterbalance. So would we say that star is not exactly lined up perfectly yet? With
as far as
undermining our situation here.
I'll throw an iron in the fire and kick it back over and let it make a circle. What about the mayor out in Oakland's not gonna that did the little? Well, we're not gonna do let the illegals be arrested here by ICE. If I done that, if you call somebody like a radio station and say there's a roadblock down here, avoid this roadblock, it's a DUI checkpoint, they'll get you for obstruction of justice because a radio station can't do that. How can she get on the news and do the same thing and walk away? Sorry for the rant.
She's one of the elites.
It's part of the system, man.
If a radio station does that, because they arrested some people, I think it was in Birmingham, that were telling people on the radio station where the checkpoints were, and they got them for obstruction of justice.
And do what we say, now we do.
Yeah, it has something to do probably with they don't want to mess with the politician because it gets real sticky then.
No, the feds want her. They want to come. Somehow DOJ wants to come for her, right? The feds do. But, oh, yeah. But like J-Mac said, she's in California. Look, the whole fucking can't give a shit, right? They let loose a murderer who killed a fucking woman, white woman on a pier with her dad, right? With a stolen fucking gun, and then he throws the gun into the fucking bay, and they still let the guy off.
Right. And you got to think
that was in line with those stars right there. They was wondering about, are they in line? There's another one.
Well, that's part of the undermining of America and separating things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times that I understand why Angel thinks the way he does, because I look at California and I go, how the fuck did these people let this happen? I look at New York and go, how the fuck did these people let this happen? I look at Connecticut and fucking Massachusetts, the birthplace of liberty. How the fuck do you people let this happen? And it's the fact that we don't have any adverse conditions anymore in this country. We're so over-comforted, over-entertained that we don't care about our own safety unless somebody else is protecting us.
I do, but I'm not stupid enough to fucking stand up alone.
And I agree, and that's why I say to you, Angel, find people within your community. You know what? Call up fucking Tack Daddy. Slap him in the back of the head. Get him again.
Wait, what was that? You broke up.
I said, you live close enough to Tack Daddy. Go tell him I sent you. Slap him in the back of the head and get him focused again. Tell him compromise possibility.
You know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised he feels the way he does and thinks the way he does because, I mean, not talking bad about the guy, but I used to watch him years ago and I stopped watching him because of that. I mean, I'm not surprised one bit.
I'm not surprised he's back and forth with the emotion because he's, let's be 100% honest, and I love the cat. Right? He's my boy, but he also is kind of a beta wanting to be an alpha. I think he needs to take some fucking testosterone shots and he'll be able to focus again. I
think a lot of people confuse the gun community with the patriot community, and I think he falls more towards the gun community.
Oh, wow, you just called him a FUD. Nice. No, I'm only fucking around.
No, I mean, it's true. He's into guns and everything and whatever, and that's great. To each their own. But
I'm just being a dick, I'm just being...
Well, he did talk about last night about basically some restrictions being necessary.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And Ross hit the wall when he did.
Ross lit him up. It was awesome.
But you notice which brother grows the beard, right? So which one got the testosterone? Right? Happens to be Ross. But that's besides the point. Anyway, no, I'm just fucking around, Kevin. I hope you're listening to this too.
That's not happening.
I'm just saying that a lot of people do think, right, that the gun community is representative of patriots and people that staunchly support the Second Amendment, and they don't. And we're starting to see that now with all the people caving in and all that shit, that, you know, you can be into guns and own a firearm and go shooting, hunting, whatever, but it doesn't mean that you stand for the Republic, and certainly doesn't mean that you're willing to die for the Republic or the idealism behind it. And we need to separate ourselves from those people, in my opinion.
And that's where you can do it within your community, right? So the people I hang, just like with my friends, right? So before I became a human being and legal gun or blah, 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 before I became an adult, right? The people I hung out with, those were the people who I hung with, those who I could trust. I still do in a way now, right? And I try and call myself law-abiding, and I'm fucking 100% lying about that, right? 100% because I don't pay attention to laws that don't really affect me. I speed when I want to. I cruise through red lights if I see nobody's coming on a four-corner at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'm not that guy, but I just keep my head down where I don't get caught anymore. And I was actually pretty good at not getting caught back in the past. But it doesn't really, most people aren't like that. But they're becoming more and more like that as they keep implementing rules that they're not following, right? One of the biggest ones, which I hate personally, but I see all the time, is this texting or phoning and driving, right? That's a law that people just ignore. They don't give a fuck. Once you start doing that, all the rest of the laws start holding less and less power. So much so that, look, marijuana laws don't matter. Drug laws don't matter. They only matter when you, get caught? In some parts of the country, that don't even matter now anyway, right? Especially if you're in a school and you happen to be a minority that might be on the pathway to prison. Well, we're going to make sure that those records follow you. So that way, when you come back when you're 19 and you shoot up the school, everybody's going to go, wham, 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 we got to take away the guns, right?
Hey, but getting back on track there, you're talking about the mayor. That's the Zero Hedge had an article this evening that came up about it. So the Justice Department says they're reviewing her actions. They're calling it a gang lookout. They think it's the White House press secretary chimed in on it about her whole actions. So feud between ICE and the mayor of Oakland intensified Friday when the head of the agency accused Mayor Schaaf of helping more than 800 violent and dangerous undocumented immigrants avoiding capture during a series of raids conducted over the weekend. Interesting. And you got to wonder, why wouldn't ICE just go to the local police force and be like, hey, you need to pin this lady in. We're going to pick her up. Because the local police captain probably is under her thumb, but the average Joe guy is probably like, get her out of here. I mean,
what would it take to arrest a mayor like that? Would it have to be a marshal, wouldn't it?
No, if you break the law, you break the law. It shouldn't matter. Only if you're a federal representative going to a meeting and, going to a meeting of the House of Representatives or something. That's the only time you have carte blanche to advance, and not be hindered in your travel.
Well, I hope they give her the same sparkling service that they gave Clive and Bundy.
Right? Yeah. Look at this psycho look on her face here in this picture. It's like she's trying to stare down this reporter, it seems like.
Yeah, when they check her, she's got any drugs hidden, that'll be that look on her face right there.
Right? Whoa. Let's get that out of there. But yeah, you would think there would be some actions if she's doing what they're actually saying she's doing. Said Schaaf put politics above public safety. Her decision to warn Oakland residents about this weekend's raids. So I don't know if she was in on the planning or something through her police chief or something, I guess, and knew they were coming and warned them.
Hey, Steve, do me a favor. Tell your boy Reb to get in here. He's out there in the.
He's got a link. He knows how to get in here. He's just stubborn. You know how he is. Can't tell him nothing. He's laying dark. He doesn't pop up out of his hole very often now. Yeah. Oh yeah. Rebels in the side chat, huh? Oh, right on. Yeah, we got Reb. Well, we're rolling high now, Mule. We got Reb in here. Yankee 4's with us. What's up, Yankee? what is going on. But yeah, this could create one of those seams in the fabric of the that you get. I mean, can California just go ahead and secede? And that's where the action will start with the water situation there in the state of Jefferson. That'll all devolve fairly quickly, probably.
Yeah, and it'll turn California into even more of a third world country than it is now. Do you hear that shit about San Francisco? And just the they're bottom of the list now, California, for the value of living index or whatever the fuck it is. And then with San Francisco, where they're literally cleaning shit and fucking needles off the streets every day to the tune of what, $240 million last year.
Yeah, that's where they told the old people if they saw a smoke coming out of their chimneys from burning a fire in their house, they were gonna, yeah. Isn't that special? How many old people's gonna sit in their house and freeze to death because they didn't? Anyway.
Yeah, but even if we get rid of California, you know what? It's like cancer. It's spreading to every freaking state in the union. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's one of those things, Angel, right? I don't think the unions last a whole lot longer. I mean, I doubt my grandchildren will be living in the United States of America. They'll probably be living in, the great state of Texas and Oklahoma, Kansas. Maybe they
Greater
might become
Texas.
The greater Texas, because Texas we keep the name, right?
Got to keep Texas. We'll add something. We're not taking it away, though.
It'll all be Texas. This is the great state of Texas. This is the first. And then that became Texas. What was it? Oklahoma. And then Kansas became Texas. And then Louisiana became Texas. And then Missouri became Texas. And then Tennessee, well, we almost kept it. We just made it Texas and called it the county of Tennessee.
Well, that's what we need to do. We need to just get, one or a couple states and put them together and just secede and
that's what's going to happen.
Our own country.
Back in the day when people used to write pulp fiction, this was kind of a theme of the survivalist guys back in the 80s, early 90s, that used to write fucking dime store novels for them, basically. And they had this kind of scenario where the country broke up and it became, and more people like also, Philip K. Dick did one. But I think that's what's going to end up happening. I don't want it to happen. I love the country. I love the United States of America, right? That's something that I loved for a long time. It wasn't just my state. It was the whole country. But now I don't see it staying for much longer. You have black separatists wanting Mississippi, right? And getting louder by the day, right? You have the Latin separatists that want fucking half the Southwest to go back to fucking Mexico, right? Then you got fucking, then you got the other part of fucking California that just says, fuck you, right? We want our own state too, the northern part, state of Jefferson, right? And they're going to take over. Hopefully, if they do, they get a piece of Oregon and a piece of Nevada.
Yeah, but they won't let it happen. They'll never let anybody, any state or any land or anything secede. I mean, hell, look at what happened the first and last time, the United States tried it, when the South tried it.
Yeah, but see, then the only possible allies would be France and England, and they were, the kind of chaos that in America didn't matter as much to the rest of the world at the time. Right now, we have the wolves at the gate, right? So Russia and China, they're chomping at the bit to be able to become what we were, right, or what we are right now. Top dog in the biggest pond there is, right? The whole fucking world. So they would love to. They don't want anybody to win in this. They would love to see this country go into chaos and turn into a fucking, a goddamn Lebanon, Syria, fucking Libya situation, where it's, or even the Yugos, where it all turns into a Balkan state and it all breaks up and goes through these fucking little wars until it finally settles down into 4 countries instead of 1. Because it's much easier to control 4 countries than one giant one from sea to shining sea, And that's what they would love to see, right? They don't give two shits about us, other than maybe China might care about our markets, right? They want us to keep rich enough to buy their shit, but they're exploring new markets everywhere, right? So I don't see most of the world caring about us.
I don't either. I don't see anybody coming to our aid either.
Nope. Well, no, I see lots of people dropping ammo to us. I see lots of people dropping shit to us, keep it stirred up for just as long as fucking possible, right?
Yep.
So China will toss in some, fucking Russia will go against China because they're just dicks against each other because now they're the two big dogs. So now one side's got to do the same shit that we used to do, that we still do now, right? And it'll go back and bite them on the ass later, 100 years down the road or whatever, just like all the shit we've done biting us in the ass all the time now, right? Because for every one we kill, we fucking make 5 others, right? Why? Because that motherfucker had 3 kids. I'm just saying. That's the way I see it. And obviously nobody fucking listens, so it's good. I mean, you guys listen, we all talk about it, that kind of thing. But nobody in the world cares, right? Because they're all distracted by what's the newest thing? It's not the gun thing as much. What is it, the new Voices out? Or no, the Black Panther movie or the new Avengers movie's coming out, or what's the next new fucking thing?
You're speaking Greek to me, Mule. I don't know.
The newest thing that I saw that's coming down the pipe on the government crop is now they're saying that the FISA judges may have known that that information was fake and approved it anyway.
Of course.
Right? Why would they not?
Well, say it's everything's going higher and higher and higher because they were supposed to oversee this, and it was supposed to be dirty DOJ, dirty FBI. Now it looks like some judges got a little poo-poo on their shoe too.
And it's also, the government's corrupt as fuck, and we're seeing it at every fucking turn, right? And I mean corrupt, right? So now these FISA judges are corrupt too. No surprise, but shocking, right? And yet we're supposed to trust the government to be able to take care of all this shit for us. Our country is just ready to fall apart at this point. Because who are you going to trust? Who are you going to trust? You going to trust the government to fix any of this shit? Meanwhile, you can be corruption being exposed on levels never seen before.
Well, he laid it out on one of the FISA judges because they contacted him in 2016, and they said nothing was wrong and stuff was wrong and it was still going on, and they said the case had been so and so and it was still active, so they've dug it all up. So
yeah, and that just ties in totally with what we were saying about Parkland. It's like the government fails in so many points. Why would you ask for any? You don't need additional laws or any additional rules. You just need to scrap it all. And if they can't do the thing that's right, obviously that's not going to help to try to rectify it with new laws or regulations.
You know what it is people, this whole gun debate and Parkland and everything, people just don't understand the true definition and the meaning and the historical value of the Second Amendment, right? I mean, the way I look at it is, it's plain and simple, actually. It's, the right to keep and bear arms. Well, keep means to have and own, right? Bear means to carry, keep on your person. And it's very simple. Is it dangerous? Well, not the amendment, not the right, but the people that get to exercise it. Yeah, should certain people not be allowed to carry guns or own guns? In my opinion, no, I don't think anybody should be restricted. I'm sorry. I don't. Like I said, to me, that's a birthright. Okay. If somebody goes and uses a weapon for evil or wrong, then make them pay the price, whether that be X amount of years incarcerated or even capital punishment and taking their life, an eye for an eye. So again, people don't understand that, and people think, well, we need laws and regulation. And even a lot of second, A people that I've spoken to say, well, we need to have some or common sense, or, well, certain people may not be able to if you're found mentally incompetent and whatnot. And to me, again, I just don't agree with that. It's, it's your right. You're born with it. And until you fuck it up, it's yours, plain and simple. So to sit there and say, well, this person should be investigated, and if a shrink evaluated, and if a shrink says, well, I don't think they're mentally capable. Well, again, who is that shrink to say that, right? Like I was telling Tony, who knows? You could have somebody who is considered to be whatever percentage mentally retarded, or as you politically correct say nowadays, what is it, mentally deficient or whatever. And that person could own a firearm their entire life and never have a mishap with it, never use it for wrong or evil. Does it mean that there's bad people out there that are going to get guns? Look, regardless of laws, bad people are going to get guns. Just like Neil was saying earlier about the drugs and shit, right? It's going to happen. And even if it's not an illegal gun and they get it legally, if they want to do evil, they're going to do it. But the good thing is, what I tell people, the good thing is when that evil person comes to you with a firearm to do you or yours harm, guess what? You have your own firearm, and hopefully those with you have their own firearms, and you can take out that evil person. There are going to be people that die, because of, our right to bear arms. Innocent people, yes, there are going to be innocent people to die. But again, when you weigh it out and you look at the casualties that happen because of it, versus your freedoms and everything that you're protecting by exercising those rights, I mean, that's what it boils down to. Look at automobiles, right? We have automobiles. You tell people, look how many people die being hit by cars, how many people die in accidents, how many bad things happen because of cars. You tell people, well, let's ban all, motor vehicles. Well, no, why? Because we need them, and the good outweighs the bad. Well, why can't you apply the same thinking when it comes to firearms in this country?
But Angel, you already said it. We don't have to, right? What's that second part of the Second Amendment? The first part is the militia clause.
Right.
The second infringement, right? It shall not be infringed. Doesn't matter if you're a mental fucking midget. Doesn't matter your color of your skin. Doesn't matter the sex you decide to choose, the one you're born with, or whatever fucking of 800 genders you like to pick. If you're an American citizen, you have the right to bear arms, supposedly, right? But we don't anymore. I wish we did. I'm with you 100% on that. To me, case closed. I don't even need to be on the chats no more. You like the chats. You're on them all. You're on them now. You stand where I do. I know it's taken care of. Good. Goodbye. Good night. Have a nice day.
All right. We'll wrap it up with that, fellas. It's been good.
I'm going to say everybody has the right, but if you're around me, muzzle discipline, buddy. Muzzle.
Right. But no, Angel said it. Look, if you use it for wrong, you get arrested, just like in the Old West, right? So what used to happen in the Old West? You did something wrong. You used your gun. You went to jail. You served your sentence. You came out. They gave your fucking gun back and said, be on your happy ass way. Why? Because it was your gun. You walked in with it. You get it when you come out. If you ain't hanging, right, because you stole a horse or murdered somebody, then you get your shit back, right? It's the inalienable right. But it's not an it's now a government approved right, right? So it's become a privilege.
Right.
All this is privilege now. And I know it, and we talked about it 1,000 times back in the day. I know it. I live in the fucking state of Illinois. It's a privilege, right? Otherwise, I'm an outlaw, right? Now, if they make me an outlaw again, well, I've been there before, so it's not. It's actually pretty comfortable. It makes life so much fucking easier. I'm not kidding at all.
I think I can understand the mentality. I get it.
It makes life so much easier. The decisions are so easy because they're just whatever the fuck you care about, right? It's not what the law says. It's not what the repercussions are. It's like, no, fuck you, right? You put me in that position again, it's going to be a scary position because I know plenty of people that love that position, even though they've all stepped out of it, right? To raise families and try and raise the next generation the right way. My kid don't go out and protest. My kid goes to fucking work. My kid didn't get given their fucking vehicles. They saved up and bought their vehicles. Why? Because if they give it to them, they're going to wreck it, not give you shit, and then want the next one too. Whereas if they buy their own, guess what they're going to do? They're going to take care of it. And the next one, they're going to buy again and appreciate it again because it came from their effort. But yeah, man. I'm sad.
Indeed.
We don't have that right anymore. I wish we did. I wish everybody could be going on that. Bullshit. That would be a question. You want to fucking back if you could afford it. Right? When the Second Amendment was written, they had privateers. People would arm their own fucking brigades. They would arm their own warships and take it to the fight against the British. It was all covered in the Second Amendment. Rights can bear arms. You can have a fucking cannon. These days, there will be a surface-to-air missile in your fucking front yard if you can afford it. And when would you touch it off and drop an airliner? You could go.
Right? Were you you had something, Saints?
Thanks for the invite. I was going to communicate with the external out there a little bit ago, and my keyboard's dead as a hammer. I guess I get to dig through the junk pile and find one. Thanks everybody for coming out. I enjoyed it. Muzzle discipline, people. Muzzle discipline.
Well, I wasn't asking for final shout outs, but I guess if you want to roll with it, we'll go back. We'll do it. But thanks everybody.
Man, I'll take it back.
Well, I was going to wrap it up, but I wasn't going down the panel just yet.
Oh, okay.
But we can still knock it out. But thanks everybody, the side chat coming out. A lot of good conversations out there. Everybody keeping us in check. Still with us, we got JJ McKay, Kevin Stoll. They're back and forth. Boneyard Militia, Yankee 4 still out there. 01 Crom. He said that's your interpretation, Angel, on the Second Amendment.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was sarcasm. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
Trolling a little bit, and that catches us up from the last time. But held a pretty good crew out here today. Definitely had a lot of people viewing. It looks like we kept the crowd entertained. They hung with us for a good solid 3 hours. Thanks for coming to the panel here, Mule, Angel, Saints. Tony's asleep, I think. I texted him and he didn't answer, so I think he's knocked out. But I don't know. You want to start, Angel? Any shout outs or anything you want to say?
I just first of all want to say thank you for inviting me. Much appreciated. I'm glad I was able to get on this time. Thank you for everybody for coming out on the outside and also joining in the conversation and all that. As much as we're talking up here, we really value you guys out there. Because if it wasn't for you guys, why even bother? So thank you very much for coming out and joining. And thank you, everybody on the panel. Every time I talk to you guys, like I said, I always learn something new, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, cool. Yeah, if we just do a private chat, if it wasn't for everybody else in the side chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Mule.
Well, I want to thank you, HD, just like everybody else would. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. I don't get to do as much anymore, so when I can, it's always fun. And I want to say thank you, Angel, for just being you, but the fact that I actually feel much more comfortable when I hear your stance on something like that. And I'm always ready to agree to disagree with you on something, but I don't even have to be around no more. You got it, buddy. You got it covered.
Yeah, I got to say real quick, no, you got to come around even more because you got to understand, right? I've been watching you on the Dragon and HTP, all you guys for years, right? I've been watching you guys for years. I was always on the outside. I never commented. Then I started commenting, a couple of years ago. And finally I said, you know what? Fuck this, right? I got to make my heard voice even more. And this is one of the outlets that I have. And now I'm in here. So, if I'm going to that step, like I said, you still got to come around. And trust me, it's not who's taking over or not, because I've been in this fight since the late 80s, and as close as I am to giving up, I'm still trying, brother. But no, you can't, man. Like I said, you guys are all an inspiration, man. And I really respect and admire that. So
Oh, me too. And I'm just glad there's another flag bearer, so that way I can not put mine down, but I can sit for a minute while I'm holding it. You know what I mean?
All right, right on.
I got other shit to take care of, but I'm never putting the banner down. But I'm just so glad you picked it up, and more like it. I wish
Right on,
more
brother.
like it, because there's always anybody. I agree with everything agree with everything with any other human being, but just being willing to step up. I wish more were out there, man. Believe me, we were crying in the wilderness for a long time. It's nice to see new ones show up, and really stand and make a stand and make their voice heard. Be willing to discuss it, even though it's not always in the nicest fashion. We always get to discuss and still leave friends. And believe me, that's rare anymore.
Yep.
All right, Saints, you want to stand on your last statement, or you want to do another one?
All right, I can fight all day, 1 mile.
About it.
Right on.
4 toes now? Come on.
Yeah. We could rename this the Mule Chat, because it's like the only time we get to hear Mule rant all week. He doesn't do videos like he used to do. So this is your outlet, Mule. Whenever we bring you in here, this is your outlet.
HT, did I ever respect parliamentary procedures or just not talk over everybody?
None of that needed. But do thank everybody for coming and watching and checking us out and commenting. We we got somebody popped in there I hadn't seen before, I think. Sir Leadslinger, welcome to the chat. We're wrapping it up, but you can rewind. Check out the old stuff. Check out it from the beginning if you want. But again, thanks everybody. Definitely still prayers for all those families impacted in Southern Florida. We talked about Tack Daddy in his chat last night. He's directly impacted. We want to keep it real and his perspective, but still know he's going through a lot and all he's having to deal with. So no disrespect meant in a lot of our comments.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
y'all have a good weekend. If you don't come and see us on the morning chat, the morning news tomorrow morning, we'll be doing a live hour long. So go out, see you in the morning, live free.